Oh, there we go. Okie dokie. Hey, baby. What's up? Yes, yes. Yeah, buddy. What's up, huh? Here, let's... Yeah. Where's the music? Popping that shit up. Come on. Is that not doing it? I don't even have my I don't even have any bitches on. What the fuck? Turn off, fuck. Okay, there we go. Damn. Okay. There we go. Alright, make sure this doesn't blast off into goddamn oblivion. There we go. There we go. That is better. Alright, let's get this $10 bill that I've reclaimed now. There we go. Now hide that. Okay. Got my bud. All that fun stuff. Okay, why do I have these in the bags here? I don't need these right next to me. Oh! Oh, didn't even know that. That's cool. Lets you know how many you got. Nice. Cool. This is wild shit. Alrighty. Let's get this bowl loaded up and start calling it ready, set to go. If honestly YouTube would be worth a fuck, considering that they aren't too fond of me and all this type of fun shit. So, yeah, but that's okay. I'm like a tumor for them. I'm a tumor to the corporate YouTube, just like the rest of us. They just want us to be all just indoctrinated little amoebas, but no. Not this time. Alrighty. Doc of the Can Dry. What is up, my man? What to do? I'm assuming YouTube didn't notify you and you just came here on your own accord. Just knowing that I was probably going to be on at some point. But, yeah, YouTube's just definitely been shit with that lately. I think it's just because recently they striked one of my videos as a force locked to private, where it's, I don't know if you were in it at all, but my stream, the Freudian Husky, the name of that stream, like, for some reason they privated that forcibly, because apparently I was doing a potentially, like, scam thing or something. Like, it was on an email. They didn't actually strike the channel or nothing, but they just made it, like, so it's locked purposely. Which, boo. Luckily, it's something I can easily challenge. I cooked up some gluten-free burgers. Turkey patties, bagels, cheese, arugula, mustard, mayo, ketchup. Besides the mayo and the cheese, they notified me surprisingly. Really? Well, hey. Thanks, YouTube. You're actually doing your job for once. But yeah. But here in a little bit, I'll get into my little topic I kind of have in for today. I wasn't really planning on talking about it, but after just kind of chilling and bullshit with my coworkers, I kind of feel like, it's definitely meritable. Well, honestly, it's actually, like, I will have to start from the beginning because it actually starts pretty interesting. Because, at first, it was RPIC, I'll just nickname him JD. He was talking about, like, doing a podcast with a few of the other people that work there. And we're, just basically like, yo, we should all just get together, have, like, hashish or a bunch of weed, and just, we'll have, like, one topic to start with, and then we just talk for, like, 3 hours and just go from there. And honestly, I'm kind of intrigued by it. So if he's actually serious, I might do it. And, be inclined. So, but it's not that, like, the main thing, of topic and area discussion. It was just kind of like how it started, and eventually we're just kind of talking about different ideas of what could be done, do what. Basically just, I guess what I do, what I'm doing now, only with, like, other people, and, like that, being the whole point of just, like, talking and smoking weed and just shooting shit. So basically what I do, but, having, like, other people, specifically akin to it. Where it's, more pre-recorded and set-based, in that way. Where they'll just, record and edit it a little bit and upload it. You're gonna have, not me, like, it's not gonna be my shit. It's gonna be a totally different thing. But, considering that, honestly, if it actually does kind of go through, if there's something that they're actually into, I might actually kind of, I actually might, pop some links down in the description once it starts happening. But it's, again, it wasn't the main form of discussionary thing. It was just kind of a random little off point. Power hour and our husky. Well, that would just be my shit. Like, I told him a little bit about it. I actually opened up and been like, yeah, I do some of this shit like you're talking about on my off time already as it is sometimes. So, like, honestly, this is pretty much like in my forte. But the main thing, though, was, like, eventually, like, after a while, we're, when talking about topics, some of the stuff was mentioned. It's like, alright, so, certain shit, we definitely probably couldn't talk about shit like race, don't want to talk about that, people just, from every side will just get fuckety about that. Religion, probably good to stay away from that, blah, blah, blah. Politics, no. Just, like, kind of go into that, and then eventually we just started talking politics. And honestly, I give, oh boy. When it comes to, the tribalist game, it's really, like, you really, like, especially for me, I get a lot of the sense of, like, political tribalism as a main thing that happens a lot on the internet and shit. But every now and then you will find that shit in your own fucking life, and it's like, oh boy, alright, how do I work with this? So, he's not a bad dude. I honestly don't, like, frankly, like how he, votes or whatever the fuck. I don't give a fuck, but, like, it's more so just like, oh boy. So, it's everything else in between. I'm just like, alright, how do I break some... Hey, shut up!
Damn!
Fuck! I like we're just both on him on that one.
Is
that your little mixed drink?
It is my little mixed drink. Shit, holy fuck, dude.
The damn boomer might work. I don't talk to him about anything other than work. I mean, honestly, like, the guy I'm talking about, JD, he's actually a really cool dude, and him and I bullshit and talk about, you know, pretty much anything and everything. And honestly, when it comes to a lot of the stuff that, at least initially when it came to a lot of some of the more broader generalized politics are pretty much in agreement with, but then it came down to things like, oh, if you know, it's like if anyone, you know, basically, you know, tries to say that Reagan wasn't like the best president, it's like, I don't know what's wrong with him, bro. And it's just like, I'm sitting here like, FDR though. And also like, no, he actually wasn't. But it's just like, oh boy. I mean, there's, you know, there's a lot of different things that, you know, he's not exactly good at, but, you know, I mean, honestly, there's even an idea that, you know, he wasn't even necessarily running his administration, at least in his second tenure, just because he was slowly going into Alzheimer's. And that is, you know, was definitely a fact that about him, and, you know, was something that he was developing, you know, during his presidency.
That's not good. That's not good.
Not good?
I can get myself in trouble. There's about that much in the bottom of the fucking cup. And the rest of it's cranberry juice.
Well, so it's not a lot of alcohol in it, really, then.
No, there's about that much in the bottom of the cup.
So, like, what? Maybe 2-3 shots?
Try like 4. And you don't even fucking taste it.
No, I just taste like cranberry juice.
That's what gets you in trouble.
I mean, if you feel like you need to share that, I mean, that's what I have. I just brought that.
Well, you gotta realize I've never tried this before, too.
Well, yeah.
I don't know how fucked up it's gonna get me off one.
Well, yeah, that glass I had when I was sick, I literally had that for fucking, like, 2 days. Like, I was sipping on that for the most part, because I put a little more than I was trying to initially. I poured some, and I went, maybe a little more, and when I did that, I went, and I went,
oh shit.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna have to try to pour some of this back, and I tried, but, you know, once it started kind of leaking on the side of the lip, I'm like, I don't want to waste any, even if it's like that.
That's why the cap was really fucking hard to pull off. Like,
yeah.
What you also gotta realize is that my mom told me it's really, really sweet.
It is.
So it's one of those ones that you can get in trouble with really fast.
Reagan was shit. Him and Nixon caused a lot of problems for facing down. Well, Nixon's a very interesting character. I'd say it was more of him, Reagan and Bush Sr. after him. After Reagan. Like, honestly, because honestly, here's some, like, things that are actually legit kind of positive about him. He formed the EPA, the FDA, and actually, I think was the one that helped kind of solidify it, with things like, what was it? Food stamps and EBTs and SNAP. So, I mean, despite a lot of his shit, like, he's a little bit more of a mixed bag than, you know, people ought to get credit for. Still traded a shitbag, but, and a fucking asinine jack-off, but, I mean, he's got at least some shit under his belt, unlike the rest of them. I can at least give Nixon that. Like, I mean, considering his record, I mean, a lot of, you know, people say he's a commie, you know, just because he did things like, you know, SNAP and EBT and shit like that. Yeah. Oh no, he boosted social safety nets, damn commie.
What you gotta realize is that helped a lot of people.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like,
which helped not just,
well, like me when I was fucking homeless. I had an EBT card.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the only way I could fucking feed myself.
Yeah, that's why we have it today. You know, it's because Nixon was the one who established it. He also expanded his industrial complex, started a foundation for Reagan's unicorn economics. Yes, he did. That's also things Nixon did, which is why I think he's at least a mixed bag, you know, to some extent, because he at least has some shit that's at least good, you know, that have, you know, to this day benefited us, you know, so it's like, he's kind of an interesting one. Like, at least, you know, out of, you know, the Republican side of things, he's at least one that's like, alright, you're an interesting, strange character. That's at least alright. While the rest of them are just no. I don't even know what to say at this point. Just your typical corporatist establishment owner class fucking jargon jargle fucks.
Jargon jargle fuck.
Yep. Are you telling me presidents help people they looked at more favorably? Yeah! Honestly, it's like, hey, if presidents and their administrations actually, even if it's like a few things, did things that were favorable to people, it's as if they, in history's past, will actually be looked at more favorably.
Yeah, right.
Well, I mean, yeah, well, like what I'm saying with Nixon, I mean, he did things that were favorable to the people, like, snap and
How
shit
long
like
has
that.
it been since the fucking president has done anything for us and fucking followed through with it?
But that's the point. Like,
Yeah.
because, I mean, the last time it's happened has pretty much been a while ago. I mean, maybe
50 or 60 years ago?
pretty much around the time we're talking about. Like, during, like, the 60s, 70s, 80s, that type of fucking shit,
Well, in the 80s, they kind of...
Well, not the 80s. Well, yeah, because 80s is basically, like, all Reagan time, so...
Reagan did as much as he could.
I mean, I guess technically...
didn't he get impeached?
That's Nixon.
Nixon got impeached.
Well, he didn't get impeached. He was going to, but he stepped down before that happened.
He stepped down because that was a fucking Watergate scandal.
Yeah.
Oh, there was some I was watching.
Which is another thing about him that's, like, if anything,
There's
probably,
actually
like...
a documentary about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know about
I think it was his wife who
there,
did it.
Yeah, there's the podcast I watched, Deep Fat Fried, not too long ago. They did a Patreon episode on Nixon, which is actually how I found out about some of his more mixed baggage a little bit, because obviously, they ended the episode with Watergate and talking about that and shit, which, if anything, especially with him, like, in his scumfuckery, that's probably where it all, like, coalesced into. Like, it was more like... like a lot of, his political, like, careerism really especially looking at it, was also kind of propped up by a lot of the McCarthyism at the time, where it's like, oh, we gotta, literally go at anyone who we suspect is communist, and even though they aren't even remotely close to it whatsoever, and shit, so... I mean, he was one of those type of people as well. Well, again, at the same time, at least today, would enact policies that people will say, oh my god, this is literally socialism will destroy society, even though it doesn't. like, like SNAP and shit, or like child credits, tax credits, or, just random shit like that will actually legitimately help people. Does impeach didn't even do anything. You've been impeached, Mr. President. Now you have to step down while we sternly shake our heads at you while crossing our arms. No, it honestly doesn't do anything. Because...
The reason they say impeach is basically they're trying to fucking get your ass fucking fired, but they don't fucking let you.
I mean, because the whole idea is, to actually, be a check to, forcibly make a president stand down if it goes through. But obviously it's only been... pushed really twice, and both times never culminated to really anything. So...
I think Biden needs to be impeached. That'd be fucking funny as fuck.
Well, even then, like I said, it probably wouldn't culminate too much anyway, because the system would be... The boat would be rocked a little too hard,
Where?
Well, yeah, exactly. That's what I say. I mean, pretty much like every post-World War II president, could, to certain degrees and given certain events or context, can technically be impeached. So it's like pretty much every president, probably has merit for it.
Yes, it is hazy, and that's not from him. Said it's hazy, and it's not from you. I'm slowly getting used to my new mod, so... I just can't do it in the house anymore.
Dude, it's fucking thick in here now.
Well, an hour before you came
Dude, my
home.
cloud doesn't even look like I made a cloud because it's so thick. Like, it just morphed with everything else. Like, Jesus. Oh my god, oh, sweet baby rays. We're about to get a cloud. The camera's right there. Oh shit, oh shit.
So what do you think? Do you think that's better than my other one? Than my regular tank?
I know coffee's much off of it, so yeah. At least even for me. Let's be honest, Biden would be better of being impeached. Just look at him. The guy barely knows where he is. Just let him go.
Okay.
Set him at home and watch the bingo channel eat ice cream.
Let me show you something.
Honestly, yeah. Like, if anything,
Okay.
impeachment would actually be a blessing in disguise for Biden if you think about it, because he's such a dimensional adult fuck, and at this point that his job is basically just elder abuse.
Okay, you know how you
Would Harris be
usually-
president? No.
How my old one you had to hit?
Mm-hmm.
You have to... Third one you take a long drag.
Okay, I can't go that hard.
That was also at 65.
You prick. Pretty sure Biden would rather golf with John Boner and the Pope. Let him! Let Biden fucking go do that shit. Like, yeah, come on, wouldn't it be better? But at least she would be competent. At least there would be competent evil instead of just, like, behind-the-scenes, smoke-filled backroom evil. Okay. Where we just get a, hey, I know malarkey, Jack. I'll show you what's for and straight now.
Since we're talking about that, what the fuck what is Brandon? What the fuck is that about?
So basically, the origins is that there was like a news reporter at like one of these NASCAR events where a bunch of the fans in the bleachers and shit were saying fuck Joe Biden, and the reporter was like, "Oh, it sounds like they're saying let's go Brandon for because there's a race car driver named Brandon something. I don't know his full name. I just know his first name's Brandon." And the reporter tried to make the fuck Joe Biden like, "Hey, they're saying let's go Brandon," you know, referring to one of the NASCAR drivers. And ever since then, a lot of these hyper pro-Trump people that are like, you know, obviously very anti-Biden. I mean, most people aren't even like pro-Biden. And most people really voted for him just because a lot of people just weren't necessarily as fond of Trump and shit. So it's just like, he basically barely rode like any actual like favorability points. So it's like, I mean, they just, instead of just saying fuck Joe Biden, now they just, you know, have recast it as let's go Brandon, you know, instead. And it's just like, it just sounds more like a middle schooler, you know, just being like, tee. It's like, ooh, I can't say the fuck word, so I'm gonna say something else as a code for it instead. It's like, you know, it's like when a middle schooler finds out they can say frick instead of fuck, and they're like, oh, frick, I could say that, ooh, you know, it's like, oh my god, just say fuck Joe Biden.
Fuck is a fucking word.
I know, that's what I mean. But I guess because, a news reporter, you know, did a goof on it, I guess now it's a meme, and even the NASCAR driver's sick of it. He's came out a couple times being like, I'm fucking sick of it, I wish people will stop, it's stupid, it's annoying, and if anything, it's making it harder for me to get, like, sponsors and shit, you know, for me to, you know, like, you know, keep having my career, so if anything, I want them to stop. So, like, at this point, it's just like been more of a detriment to the actual like driver more so than anything at this rate. And it's just like, oh my god, like, I mean, I know there's some dumb political statements out there, but Jesus Christ, that like, I think at least as of lately, that's probably the one that's take the cake for me. Found the most trashy house in Milwaukee last week. The house with a literal "Let's Go Brandon" sign, a huge Stan Pullman sign, and a bunch of rundown, overcompensating trucks in the driveway. I think I know which one you're talking about. Don't mention where, but I think I know which house you're talking about. I honestly do, dude. There's another house that's on the way to when I go see my mama, where they have this fat, huge-ass flag where it's like, you know, the wildfire bear, only you could stop wildfires. Only bear. Yeah, Smoked Bear, where it's just like, only you could prevent socialism. And so basically, it's just like a set of wildfires, they just replace, you know, that with socialism. And literally across the street is like some pro-union house or whatever the fuck, where they have some other shit. So it's just like, I can tell those two neighbors literally right across the street from each other must love each other a lot. Because, you know, like they're compensating a little bit, and they're overcompensating a little bit. It's like, oh my god, it's like there's a dick measure contest going on here. And down the street, there's like a little bit something similar to that, only it's just like one little like Gadsden flag, and the other one's like I think a Cascadian flag. So it's like there's like some like a couple houses down, there's the same shit, but just like smaller. And it's like, oh my god, what? It's like, I mean, I guess it's nice that, you know, they're, you know, the neighborhood's communal, but in just such a weird competitive, like, I'm gonna have the bigger dick in the neighborhood mentality. It's just like, give me a break. Liberals are such snowflakes. Sign saying, I don't like Trump. Now listen here, you son of a bitch. I don't think you're talking about the same one. The one I'm talking about is Donna. What I was talking about was different. The one you're talking about, well, yeah, I know. Yeah, it's on Oldfield. But yes. I've been, you know, down that, you know, place a couple times before, and yeah, I've seen that house, and I know what you're talking about. It's like, oof. I remember, like, years back, there was, like, a house not far away from here that straight dead-ass had, like, a full-on fucking Confederate battle flag just right in the front yard. Just chilling. I'm like, man, around here, I'm a little bit, like, that's some balls of shit. At least around in Milwaukee, at least, specifically. Maybe, like, out in Estacada, like, you know, I can see more of that shit, but it was, like, at least the only time I've seen it. Like, I think, I don't know what happened, but after a while, they, you know, either put it away or something happened to it. I don't know what. I remember in high school too. We were going to Elk Rock and having like a little field trip there. I think for our ecology class, and you know, we didn't have to take a bus or anything. We just walked there because it's so close. And there was like this big, you know, some of the houses that have like that riverside type of like front for lawns. One of them had like. One of the houses, you could tell, was just a lot more isolated than the others and had, like, this big-ass white van that dead-ass just had a full-on fucking, like, swastika Nazi flag there, and he had a bunch of random, definitely, like, skinhead, bald-ass, like, white dudes in white tank tops just all chilling out there. You could tell they were having some beers and shit. And they all saw us, you know, kids walking by, and they all just kind of, like, just started staring until we all left, and, you know, because they knew we saw their shit, you know, so they're like, I wonder what these kids are, you know, saying right here. It's just straight racism at that point. Oh, I mean, well, with the especially the Nazi one, yeah. Like, that one's just like, yeah, we're just Nazis, yeah. What's up? Like, that, I mean, I could, especially, you know, considering that at least maybe either whether friends or the actual, like, people who were living there were outside and straight up looked like actual fucking skitheads with, like, wife beaters on. Yeah, like, yeah. I don't know if they live there anymore, but, I mean... At least that was like the only time I've actually seen that much around here. Luckily, I don't really see like much of that shit. At least when it comes to like swastikas or whatever the fuck. Unless there's like some edgelord in like some public bar bathroom that has one there or whatever the fuck. I mean, you're gonna get that. Like, there's always some weird edgy shit in bar bathrooms. If you're friends with Nazis, you're a Nazi. Well, no shit. Or at least very sympathetic for them, where your ideology must be questioned if you're going to be sympathetic of that. I mean, it's just like...
Oh my god. The conversations we get into. First it goes to politics, then it goes to Confederate battle flag, and now it goes to fucking Nazis. What else are we going to talk about? Fucking Jewish people? Are we going to go to Jewish now?
Just start talking about the Israeli state. Well, Tennessee needs to go. If the nuclear fallout reaches my state, totally worth it. Wait, what happened? What happened to Tennessee? They pay you low wages, give you no health care. It's a guaranteed housing, then punish you for being... Oh, yeah, my friend Ripsy was telling me, Tennessee...
Hey,
Hey, get away from my chicken tendies. Get away from my tendies. No, you're not allowed to have my tendies.
Yeah,
no.
You fucked me over out of mine, fucktards.
Tennessee became the first state to make public camping. Yeah, I was there... Yeah, so if you're homeless, that basically means if you're caught, well, trying to sleep, basically, or if you have, like, a little setup somewhere, you know, and shit, you know, then you're basically going to be charged with a full-on fucking felony. It's not just like, hey...
That's bullshit.
Yeah, it's not like, hey, you need to move, or, hey, like, we get it, but you need to, like, go set up somewhere else, or whatever the fuck, you know, or some shit. I mean, hell, like, even being like, hey, you know, like, here's some, like, resources shit, but you have to, like, go somewhere else, or
Did
whatever
I
the
say
fuck.
get up here? No, get down.
But, like, criminal penalties and shit, that's a little fucking ridiculous. Because how's that supposed to help the homeless person get off the streets when they have, like, fucking criminal charges, especially a fucking felony, you know, on their record? Like, a lot of companies and a lot of jobs won't accept you if you do. Luckily, there's some, like Dave's Killer Bread, for example, that will do that, where they will actually make sure, have the whole, like, second chance policy, but not many companies are as open about that.
But that's in fucking Washington.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
but the reason he made that company...
Because wasn't...
He was
he was himself, yeah. What the fuck? What?
I was trying to get in my lap, too.
I know. You just want to be a lapdog right now, do you? We need slave labor and we aren't hiding it. I mean, basically, it's like, hey, you're homeless? Well, guess what? You can have your 3 hots in a cot, but you're going to have to do forced labor here now. For the state. It's like, what the fuck? I mean, honestly, if prisoners are gonna do work, they should at least be compensated for it. Like,
they are, but they get fucking shit wage.
Yeah, which hence like why a lot of people argue that a lot of prison labor is essentially slave labor because it's pretty much barely fucking anything. Or at least especially with private prisons, probably literally nothing at all. So it's just like at least the state will probably give you like barely something, but it's just like what can you do with it? Like, save up for like a week and then maybe get a few extra candy bars or some shit maybe on like the little jail market or whatever the fuck.
Oh no, it's fucking expensive. That's why they put money in your fucking books.
Yeah, I mean,
because fucking prison food fucking sucks.
Yeah.
I've heard people talk about it. It fucking sucks.
The 12 hours when I was like arrested on June 19th, like the 12 hours that I was in jail, let alone like a prison, like that was fucking miserable. Like the food there, and I was able to at least kind of get an idea about like how a jail kind of operates.
What to eat.
Yeah, and it's just like and also like some options and quote opportunities that prisoners can have where they could be like a trustee or some shit and all this. It's just like, oh my, I was like, oh.
If you do this and this very good,
if you're good at, doing this for the cop or the prison guards a little bit there, we'll let you get some extra bonus points amongst the other prisoners.
It's not for...
Well, that too. Yeah. Well, I guess there could be that as well. Because that is definitely happening.
Or if you're going to hold somebody's pocket.
It's literally pennies. Yeah.
It's like 60-something cents.
Yeah, I think
the only good one that I actually saw was I was watching a documentary on them. So there was ones where they would make desks and stuff like that. They had like a woodworking shop. Some had like a barber shop.
Yeah.
Some of them
like there are like
do like
every now and then there you can find like some, I mean, pretty rare in the US, but you can find them where they actually have like built-in like work. Yeah, where there's like built-in workshops and shit where they actually do have some form of a rehabilitative routes, where prisoners can at least, learn or like hone in a trade and actually, when getting out, have at least an ability and an opportunity to get back on their feet a lot easier at that point.
That's kind of one of the some of the ones that they did, but the one that I know most of, which is very popular, is
like and honestly, that shit just seems to be a fucking standard. Like, I mean, every prison should have at least some form.
If you're there for like a year, then you should be able to.
I mean, it doesn't really matter.
What the fuck are you chewing on?
He's chewing on a bone. I could tell what he's chewing.
But no, I mean, it's nice if you're.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even necessarily think for just a year, but even if it's like like for like 10, 15 or whatever, I mean, it's like everyone. It's at least the merit of at least trying to offer the second chance, and if they fuck it up, then well, they're either gonna go back and be go back to prison or some shit, or they're still not gonna be able to have the same type of successful opportunities and shit.
But it's still kind of one of those things. You look at the fact that there's people there that are there for a couple years and they learn their trade and then they get out in the world and they're like, oh, well, what are you doing for work? And I mean, you got to realize that the people that actually fucking do the work actually get out in the real world, change their fucking life, change their fucking habits, and fucking have a job.
Yeah, well, yeah, because honestly, I mean, especially for a lot of people that are in jails or prisons, I imagine they don't necessarily want to totally be there all, and like, go back in prison or some shit. So, if there is, those options and they are
mentality is gang life and they just don't want to fucking do anything for the world.
Yeah, because in a lot of ways, I mean, especially for, a lot of different prisons and shit like that, basically, it's like criminal college. Like you go, it's like if you pretty much already started off with barely, anything growing up, already kind of partially in that life, and you like get busted for some shit at like 16 and then go, to like juvenile detention and then, and get re-incentivized later at like 19 or some shit. I mean, at that point, you're just basically going for some criminal college of like, how do I not get caught the next time type of shit? And then like learn from other people who are inside and different tricks, tips, and who knows what else. So, I mean, if anything, it's like in a lot of ways, just because there's such a high recidivism rate, a lot of these type of people probably think, well, if we're gonna probably go back to jail or prison anyway. We might as well at least try to hone our criminal crafts, essentially. And and that's why, in a lot of ways, this whole like criminal type of issue, whether it's in Portland or anywhere else in the country, is always such a reciprocal fucking cycle, because there's just no actual real, at least, incentive to fucking provide root causes of these problems and put solutions to them. Where it's actually trying to uplift, a lot of the social economic conditions, that these people are in, and get them on a better, playing field, before this type of shit happens in the first place.
Oh, they won't. They don't care.
Exactly. Hence why there's no incentive for it.
Yeah.
Because the establishment, profits off a lot of this shit, because there's a lot of private prisons that, basically are like, the more bunk beds we have that are filled, the more money we make. I mean, hell, a lot of state-operated ones, tend to act like that in many instances, just because, it's a way to help increase a lot of their budgetary funding and shit. So a lot of that can go into things like, putting more luxury things in, like, the break rooms or whatever the fuck, and just kind of make things a little bit more cozy for themselves. Yeah. Especially for administrators and shit.
It's kind of like a job.
It's like a lot of jobs, really. Like, the education system the same way. Like, so much shit gets cycled through, like, administrative bullshit. And so many different things. It was in my high school, like, with our art programs. Like, they got fucked so many different times, like, and I would hear about it from a lot of my different teachers, specifically in the art field, like, in band or otherwise and shit, that would be like, because they're, keep cutting our art department and blah, 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 we have to, like, pay out of pocket for a lot of our resources and shit. It's just like, and and at certain points I'd try to dig in and be like, well, why is that going on?
They don't want to talk about it. They can't.
Well, at least for my band director, he didn't give a fuck. Like, he would just straight out say what it was about, and it was because a lot of the PE / like physical sports and all that shit, they basically wanted to hyper fund that shit, because especially during like my sophomore and junior year, it was like one of the few times that our football team actually was like worth a fuck.
Yeah.
So they wanted to hyper fund it so they can try to, get them better and get better training equipment and all this other shit, because they were actually, showing their worth or whatever the fuck. So, amongst other shit, like our basketball team in high school was always fucking phenomenal. So they would always, hyper fund a lot of PE type of shit, because there was like results in it. But even though there was also results in the art departments as well and shit, they just, they didn't see it as important. So it's like, nah, whatever. You could just pay like, oh, like what, colored pencils? Oh, that's like $5 at Walmart or some shit. It's like, what? It's like, what? And I, just the only thing too, like, there's so much, like, because I listened to a podcast where one of the co-hosts used to work as the IT guy for a school district in California. And he would say that so much of, like, the backlog shit, server shit, and, like, trying to update equipment and stuff was so fucking bogged and shit because of a lot of administrative bullshit. And because of, like, a lot of the bureaucracy and funding and the lack of funding, really, to IT equipment. And honestly, thinking back at it, when I was listening to a lot of the shit he was talking about, because he was doing his job around the time I was in, like, middle and early high school, I was like, that was the same shit for my high school, too. It's like, because he was saying, like, his school district was pretty much mainly sponsored by Apple. Ours was, too. And it was just like, and realizing, like, how much of a correlation it was,
you've
like,
got to realize,
fuck?
How much of that shit did you guys actually see?
Yeah, especially as students, like, we'll see, like, a lot of the new computers and stuff, but, like, honestly, like, outside of them maybe running a little faster, there wasn't much of a difference, because they would never actually change a lot of the actual, like, internet server-wide things. Like, because if you just update the hardware, but not, like, a lot of the server-backed, shit to help it, making sure the internet and stuff like that runs efficient, then you're just going to backlog the fuck out of the servers, and it's going to be even slower in a lot of ways. And in plenty of ways, that's how it was. It was fucking ridiculous. Like, man, doing some projects, sometimes at school, depending on how many people were using the computer labs and shit at any given time, oh my god, it would be ridiculous. Every now and then, it'd actually be alright. Teachers can buy with their pay. We hardly get paid. And I'm sure they'll make their students more appreciate their teachers who make that sacrifice. Yep. Guess it's ramen a month again. Yeah, seriously. I mean, and it's just like... It honestly just means that, like,
well, if you go into the fact of this, is that my school changed a lot. I realized a long time ago that my school was mostly people in the community. They were teachers in our community.
Same with mine. Yeah.
But then it started turning to the fact that I could go down to my high school when my friend was in high school. I knew every teacher in the school by first name.
Yeah, I know.
If I go to the school now,
probably totally different.
I don't know any of them.
Yeah. I mean, at least, luckily for me, my elementary school, because it's pretty much around the corner for me. I, like, now, there have been teachers that have come and gone, but there's a lot of them that are still actually fucking working there, despite all these fucking years,
But see, the funny thing is that we had this teacher, his name was Brookins. We just called him we called him Brookins, even though we were supposed to call him Mr. Brookins. I call him Brookins. His name is James.
When you're cool enough of a teacher, you get nicknames and shit. No,
literally, his last name was Brookins.
Yeah.
So we just call him Brookins. And he didn't care.
It's a cool name, too.
He was the coolest fucking teacher. He was the math and whatever that fucking class is. But he was one of those teachers that you could literally sit in his classroom, didn't give a fuck what you did as long as your work done. Didn't care.
Yeah.
He was one of those teachers that I was not a fucking straight A student. I was fucking failing classes.
I definitely wasn't either.
But he looked at me and said, I know you have an IEP. I said, yeah. He's like, if you want help with your tests, come talk to me. So
not many teachers do that.
Huh?
Not many teachers will do that, really.
No. But there was a lot of teachers that knew I had an IEP, and they basically said, if you want help, just let me know.
Yeah. I mean...
But it got down to the fact of when I became a senior, I was failing 3 classes. I had to make them up on some guy's fucking...
That was my freshman year. I was the opposite. Like, I actually kind of got... Like, my freshman year, I pretty much was, like, I botched that shit. And sophomore year, I half botched it. But by junior and senior year, I was getting my shit together.
I botched it from 6th grade until I graduated.
Ooh, damn.
I graduated with 23 credits.
Was actually kind of, at least, honestly, it's a little fucked up, but, like...
No, because you're supposed to
For me, like, during, like, 7th grade onward, well, actually 6th grade onward, like, when it came to things like language arts and shit like that, some reason I got, like, fucked over pretty hard.
I suck at all that.
Well, what's funny is, especially now, I'm, like, really, especially when it comes to, like, how I write and how I, like, you know, and do shit like that, like, I'm really fucking pretty good at it, but, like, for some reason, I got, like, heavily fucked over from it, like, especially from, like, 7th and 8th and 9th grade.
Well, it's kind of funny, because when you text me, I'm just like, what you sent me, I'm just like, what? I'm like, okay, what is he saying okay to, and don't worry about it. What the fuck? Elaborate. I'm a dumb idiot.
I'm a dumbass. Please elaborate. Put that in dumb mode.
Basically, then I roll around in my brain. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. There we go.
Yeah. Didn't you have teachers who slammed books on sleeping students to SAS if school didn't start at 7:30 in the goddamn morning? I thought I'd throw my textbook at him. Oh, you want to know what's funny? I've actually had a teacher that didn't do that, but... There was a few times where he'll, like, catch a student sleeping, and I was one of them one day, where he would just, like, hey guys, just all stop talking, and just all stare at the student sleeping. And straight up, there will be a subconscious thing in your brain if you're taking a nap.
Stared at.
Not just that, but, like, why am I not hearing, like, background lecture noise anymore? And I remember one time I was just like, well, and I went like, huh? And I looked around, and everyone was staring at me, and the teacher was just like, they had like this this little fucking like shitting grin and everything. It was like, had a good dream there. I'm like, I just went like,
Oh, I have a funny story about something like that. I was working for the state of Oregon, I was a litter patrol,
Mm-hmm.
and I got paid for it. Well, one day I came home. We came back. I fell asleep on the fucking table in the fucking break room. And a good friend who passed away, who was fucking amazing. He was a big Mexican dude. Had a heart of fucking gold. I fell asleep on the table. And lo and behold, you remember the phone books back in the day, right? Phone book.
Fuck yeah, dude. I know phone books.
I'm sleeping. He picks it up and he goes, whoa! I'm like,
dude, that shit is like fucking like,
he looked at me, he's like, were you sleeping? I said, not anymore. He's like, don't sleep on our table. I'm like, okay. Dude, that guy, the bad thing is I got a text from my mom that says, I have some bad news to tell you. I'm like, okay. She's like, Joe died. That was the guy that I worked with. The big Mexican dude.
Damn.
I found out that he was riding his motorcycle to work.
Oh no.
And
motorcycle accident.
No, somebody turned into him.
Oh.
Killed him.
Fuck, dude.
So every time I go home, I don't go 26. Because 26 is where my work was at. And
damn.
It's kind of hard for me to drive down there.
Because you're reminded of that, yeah. Damn, dude.
It literally just...
I love motorcycles and shit, but...
I knew that guy for fucking 3 years. I knew him every summer.
Yeah. Damn.
It was fucking hard. It was just like one of those things that... Because I didn't remember.
Yeah.
I just knew him as Joe, and I'm like, okay, Joe, and I haven't been around Oregon for that long. I mean, 25 years, but I didn't remember who it was.
Yeah.
So I had to look it up. And I found it, and I'm just like, fuck.
Damn, yeah.
How did we go from politics to school?
And then, like, damn.
And then
going deep. Well, yeah, damn. Got deep now.
But no, I knew him for a long time.
Fuck, I'm smoking this bowl for Joel, dude. Damn, bro.
No, Joe was a big guy. He was a big guy, but he had a heart of gold.
Big guy, heart of gold. I already like him just on that alone. Honestly, like, I mean, especially with, like, big dudes, like, I mean, there's always, like, you know, like, especially, you know...
Like, they look like they're fucking badasses, but you know they have fucking heart of gold.
Yeah, because honestly, especially, like, with a lot of more, like, overweight, heavier set dudes, like, I mean, if they especially been like that most of their life, like, they're, you know, they've probably been picked on a lot of shit, so they probably... I mean, and a lot of them, usually, if they're like, well, if, you know, if you can't take it, then you might as well kind of, like, embrace it and just, like, you know, make jokes out of it, and... You know, just kind of, like, go with the punches. And if anything, that's how a lot of, like, I've even seen it where, like, there's a lot of, like, you know, fatter kids or bigger, heavier type of kids and bigger people that will be able to just kind of fit right in the crowd because of shit like that.
That was kind of the mentality of what the working where I was working. Is there was a day that we would get close to where we would stop working. We'd work 3 months out of the year.
Right, yeah.
And the last day... We had nothing to do. We had all our fucking roads done. So, normally we'd go around, pick up all our trash bags that we had left around. There was a day that I actually got to go in a dump truck. A state-run dump truck. To go pick up pups.
Nice!
To go pick up pups, which are smaller tow behinds. That was fucking hell of fun.
I bet.
I mean, sitting in a fucking dump truck.
Dude, that must be cool.
That's some fucking fun.
I mean, like, the one thing that would suck is having to go so hella early in the morning. But, I mean...
We had to be there by 4, but we didn't start until about 6. So we leave Vernonia about 4:45. Probably get there about 5. Sit around for a couple hours, fucking bullshit.
No, hey, basically, like, here's like an hour or two to start waking up before you start going on your actual shift.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah. Alright, no.
And I mean, we would work 4/10s. So I'd work Monday to Thursday, have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off.
Nice.
But
Sounds pretty legit.
Waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning fucking blows.
Yeah.
Now
Honestly,
I can wake up at like 5 and be like, the fuck.
Oh my god, dude. I honestly, if I had to do like some early morning shift like that, I just do an all-nighter. At least of how my regiment is, I just say fucking all night that bit.
You would die after like the first 2 weeks.
I mean, I wouldn't do all-nighters every fucking shift. I would just do that to try to help reset my shit so I can better, realign my sleeping, to that type of shit for the next day.
Like, you see what I do.
Yeah. Which actually reminds me, I'm going to have a barbecuing shift on next Monday from 10 a.m. to 6, so I'm contemplating whether I might do all-nighter on Sunday or just, maybe say fuck streaming on Sunday.
How long are you doing it?
Well, it's 10 to 6.
For like a fucking month, or are you doing it?
It's for the day. It's for that one day. For 10 to 6. So that's why I'm thinking that, I could just fucking all night that bitch, and
or you do what I do. Because you work that following shift, you work nights, right?
I don't think I got,
Do you work that following shift?
No, actually I have Tuesday and Wednesday off, so no,
okay, what you do?
I got a weekend.
What you do, if you want to do it, is I do it this way. Like, I have to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or no, what's tomorrow, Tuesday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have to go to work.
You're looking at your wrist like...
My watch is charging.
Yeah.
So tomorrow's Tuesday.
10 to 6 is pretty difficult all-nighter.
No, it's not.
No, because if I'm doing a closing shift the night before and I do these streams, depending on how long I do it, I can go from 1 to 2 in the morning.
I have to do this because I've already done this with you.
And then I don't go to bed until 3 or 4.
No.
Anyway, I'm sorry to cut you off.
There was a day that I had to go to work.
Yeah.
And what time do I go to work?
Like what? 5, 6? Yeah.
And you were still up.
Yeah, there was that one time.
Yes,
yeah.
Literally, I came home and you were. I was going to work and I'm like, have you gone to sleep? No. Fuck are you doing? Playing video games?
Yeah, that was
So?
Yeah,
go to bed, bro!
Yeah, I think because literally not even an hour, maybe an hour and a half ago, when that night I ended the stream, so I was still awake, so I was just I'm just gonna play a video game, and I just kind of lost track of time, and then you popped up, and I was like, oh, fuck.
What time is it? 6? What are you doing? Going to work? Oh my god.
Yeah, that was my reaction. That was really how it went.
My dude, do you know what time it is? No. It's 6 o'clock.
Yeah, then I checked and I went, I'm going to bed now.
Yeah, I'm going to bed. No, what you do if you don't have if you have what is it, Thursday and Friday off, and then you have to work Saturday?
What, this week?
Or no, it's a Wednesday and Thursday, right? And you have to work Friday?
No, I'm working Thursday, Friday, Saturday this week.
No. When you have to barbecue.
Same thing.
Okay. Well, when you have that day off, get up early in the morning, 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Take a nap by 1 or 2 in between that time schedule. So stay up until at least 1 or 2. Take a 3-hour nap, and then go to work, come home. So when you get home, you'll go to sleep a little bit earlier, and you can wake up and make a shift. How do you think I'd pull mine? I go to bed at 1 or 2, wake up at 5 or 6, come home, or go to my shift, come home, take a nap, wake up, do the same shit. It's basically recovering your schedule, basically, kind of.
Yeah. I'm just gonna annoy the fuck out of you by petting your face in a way that you are not comfortable with, and I know you're not comfortable with, but I'm doing it anyway. Yeah, that's right, bitch. Fuck you. Don't you dare think about it.
He's already thought about it.
Yeah, I can see it in your eyes.
It hasn't hit me yet, but I know it's gonna hit me fucking hard in 10 minutes.
What? I'm pretty sure it already hit you, dude.
I have nothing in there.
You drank all that?
Yeah.
Damn! I feel like I need to catch up.
That's gonna hit me. What?
This is 9%, this is just 1.
Chug, bitch!
There's barely...
Chug!
No! There's barely anything left in it. It's like a gulp.
Then gulp it. Bitch.
I have 1 left in here.
I could finish the bottle if I really wanted to.
Oh, what? You gotta lose.
If
All right.
you, okay. If you finish that and save that, we can go make another one right now.
I'll just put it right there, and I'm gonna finish this.
Finish it now, and we'll go make another drink.
Well, okay. That sounds like a plan.
Yeti for the win.
Told you it was basically. I guess that was technically 3 gulps, but whatever.
Why did I grab my fucking...
We're good people. You should never try that with veterans unless you want 2 broken arms and a leg fracture. Okay, I feel like I'm missing context with that one. That's probably, you know, to part of the conversation we were having that I now forgot. But yeah, now thinking about it, yeah, for this coming Sunday, do I want to do all-nighter that night? If I do, I'll probably just say fucking to stream that shit. Send me the book thing. Oh, with that. Oh, yeah. Okay. No, I get you. Yeah, because of the whole, like, you know, potential, like, oh shit, you've just incited my PTSD because that sounded like a fucking artillery barrage. I actually remember a Criminal Minds episode where, like, the antagonist was actually a veteran who was, like, going hardcore PTSD mode and basically thought he was in, like, Fallujah or some shit. And honestly, now this Criminal Minds episode, thinking about it in hindsight, it just sounds a little fucked up. Because basically they're like, oh, you murder people, so you're bad, but you're also a fucking, you know, veteran of hardcore PTSD, and the reason why you got, you know, triggered by that and started killing people is because there was construction literally going on like a block or 2 away. That's literally the fucking episode. And I'm like, to be fucking frank, you know what? At the end of the episode, I still feel bad for the fucking vet dude. Like, I guess, you know, because Criminal Minds like, oh, we got the serial killer, we got, like, the mass murderer, or, you know, the killer, and blah, blah, blah. Like, I mean, that's the whole idea for, like, every episode. And it's just, like, honestly, that's, like, the one episode where it's, like, honestly, I feel like it's the one time where I don't feel bad for, like, the killer guy. Because it's like, damn, actually sympathetic. What the fuck? Because, yeah, even if there was a vet who went PTSD mode and actually, like, killed somebody, I would still feel very heavily sympathetic to that person. And, you know, and wouldn't necessarily want to see, like, you know, the same charge, like, somebody would, like, actually overtly, like, I will now murder you, bleh, or whatever the fuck. Like, because, honestly, I feel like the context at that rate would be a little different. So, it's like, honestly, if a vet had such a moment, like, it's not like it fucking makes it any better, but... like, I mean, there was legitimate, you know, fucking variables that were at play that can be pointed out and can be, like, you know, heavily looked into at that rate. You know, so it's just like, there's at least at that point a lot more of a stronger idea of rehabilitation in my mind. It's basically just what it comes down to.
Different mixture.
A different mixture?
Yep.
Is this all me?
No.
No?
That's you try my drink.
What's the mix?
You can't tell?
I mean, there's a little bit of cranberry, I think. No?
It's not cranberry.
Maybe it's just residue from previous.
It's raspberry.
Oh.
That's my raspberry tea.
Oh.
My Lipton tea I make?
Oh.
That's the raspberry. That's the one you haven't tried yet that I wanted you to try. You've tried the peach. You've had the peach. You said you hate the peach. That's the raspberry.
I hate the peach?
Yeah, you didn't like it.
Seriously? I love peach. I love peach flavored shit.
You didn't like the way it tasted because of the way I mixed it.
Maybe it just wasn't peachy enough.
It's Crystal Light.
Huh? Here, I'll try one more though.
No, if you want to, I have a gallon of it in there. You know the cranberry thing I bought? I use those to mix my tea with.
Oh.
So I usually buy I get like two things of Crystal Light, which have 6 packets. So I do 2 of each in 1 gallon to make it. Because it's basically 2 quarts makes 1.
Yeah.
So 4 quarts equals a gallon. What are you doing, you freaking retardo?
Oh, he just wants to play with rope. The serial killer has been found. We have the buildings surrounded. Horatio, come out with your hands up. Never. You'll all be squished because I am the captain.
When are we gonna get a fucking hatchet?
I mean, my friend left his in there, technically. And also in the top shelf of, yes. And also, I technically have one, but the handle of it has a cut in it because my friend accidentally, with his other hatchet, that's not in there. Yeah, there it is.
This isn't a hatchet, this is like a small pickaxe.
Okay, yeah, he accidentally hit the blade, he hit the handle of mine with that. Yeah. I have one that's pretty much just like that.
The fuck is this?
Well, commander, if you want to be technical. I'm the commander now.
The fuck is this?
It's an arm brace for a bow. My friend has not picked up his bow shit or his hatchet since the last time we went shooting, and I have it still.
This is a tomahawk, not a fucking hatchet.
Tomahawk axe, I mean...
And it needs to be sharpened. It's fucked.
Yes, it does. I'm aware of this. This is not mine, but this is my friend's hatchet that he left here for some fucking reason and has not picked it up yet, even though he lives not far away from me. And it's just like, and goddamn, oh my god, why has he let this become so dull? Like, the only reason why I haven't maintained mine is because I still need to replace the fucking handle on it, and so I just kind of...
Yours is probably sharper.
Yeah, because I haven't really used it that much.
Move! Or I will hit you in the fucking face.
Baby! Get over here. And now you ruined everything, you little shitbag. Your entire body has, like,
Move!
Attacked everything. Come here.
Go that way.
You're a little freakazoid. Well, at least it can still go into wood, barely. You gotta get a good little, like, oomph in that bitch.
If I give a little
Oh, wait, you got, like, no, there's one right there, yeah.
I might break it. If I break it, I'm gonna laugh.
I don't think you're gonna break that fucking thing. I've seen my friend fuck around for that pretty hardcore and not break.
Well, you're talking to somebody who breaks shit. When he wants to.
When you... okay, whatever.
I've broken my RC car off a fucking curb!
Well, that's on you. Nice. Actually, I mean, even though it's dull, I'm actually surprised it went in there pretty alright. Yeah, alright. Yeah, Zukov's like, what the fuck? What'd you do?
Move!
What did you do? You did something. Your friend's really officer. Oh shit! You split that bitch. Nice. That bitch got split. He split that block. Damn. Actually, into 3 pieces. It got a third one, just like a tiny little
That
chunk.
don't count. That's a sliver.
Oh, whatever. A sliver, you know, that's the third one. I count that.
That was only 2 hits, but...
Hey, it took 2, but hey, you know, that... If for a dull fucking axe blade, I mean, I don't know. At least 2 work. You're just gonna do them? You're just gonna do all of them now?
I wanna go outside and do something.
Here, I'm just gonna show you what he's actually doing here.
Fucking around with shit.
He's literally just fucking around with these wood blocks. Oh, you sound like you got to start. This one might be a little bit harder. Sukov, look at him. Sukov, get away!
Move!
That's why you move. Damn, that one's actually a lot harder to get.
That's why.
I see, yeah.
There's fucking not.
Yeah, that one's being a bitch. Let's see if you can do it with this one. Man, you want me to do this. I want to do it now.
You got a whole other set over there.
Oh, you almost. Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, that one will. Oh shit. Hey.
I need a smaller one. You need to go to my work and pick one up. They're like $50. That was just gay.
Damn.
Hey! Get back!
Big. Hey, there we go. We'll just put that for the fire pit. Oh, that one's gonna be. Hey, nice. Good shit. Hey. Oh, damn, that one was split in 3.
Yeah, because I started it.
Good shit. If sentient piece of wood gives chopped in half, does that give it a split personality? And I think it does.
Why don't you talk to somebody who's fucking redneck and fucking loves playing with fucking wood?
Well, I want. Get penetrated, bitch! Yeah. Get penetrated, bitch.
Too far.
Too far?
Too far.
Get split. Oh. Come on now. And it's never far enough. Boom!
We're just gonna have a wood fucking pile of it.
Yeah, we're just having like a nice fat little pile of little blocks of wood.
Well, we haven't had a fire in fucking like, what, 6 months? A month and a half? Something like that.
A month and a half, probably more like.
No, it's probably been like 2 months. Because I was working at Sportsman's by then. I told you to save that.
Oh.
You could have went in and made a drink. What do you give a fuck? Yeah, your friend's hatchet.
Well, now I'm like at an inebriation point, so it's like, okay, well, I'll.
You're inebriated. I'm fucking.
You are too, because you're fucking like, you know, just going hardcore, like, you know, chopping wood mode now. You're like,
Okay, do you realize what happens when I drink?
I mean,
Where was I last weekend?
Out with your.
No, not that weekend. Not this weekend. The following weekend. I was out at my mom's. What do I do out at my mom's? What can we do out at my mom's?
Ranch, like outdoorsy shit, and yeah, all that. Yeah.
What do I do when I drink? Have fires.
Yeah. It's
Oh!
starting to get more into season for it, though. So.
My mother told me that you should come out.
Why not?
She wants you to.
Well, I mean, if that's an invitation,
If
then...
you literally want to come out, I mean, if you don't want to stay the whole time, but I'm actually going to take you out in August. The first full weekend in August when we have Jamboree, you're coming out.
Well, I'll make sure that shit's scheduled off, so I can do it.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Easy peasy.
Mm-hmm. Friday is, like, the day of, and then, like, Saturday and Sunday is, like, the big fucking day that everybody gets fucking drunk as fuck.
Awesome.
The whole town's like, I mean, all the bars are fucking packed.
Dope.
So if you're, like, one of those people that, like, wants to fucking get drunk in a fucking bar and possibly get in a bar fight.
Well, I don't want that, but I like getting into, like, bars, getting drunk with a bunch of people and just, like, chatting with them, but not, like, getting into bar fights.
Well, if you want to stay long enough, we also have a logging show.
What?
A logging show. And you're like, what?
Yeah, I'm a little intrigued.
It's kind of cool. They have hot sauce. Remember that hot shot I showed you? The one called the Predator?
I think so, yeah.
The one with the 350? Usually comes to my hometown.
Oh.
So you can actually see it in person.
Nope.
They have a thing called the log fall.
Mm-hmm.
Where they chop a tree and try to hit a beer can.
Your beer can?
Mm-hmm.
So
a beer can.
But smashed with a tree.
Yeah.
So they try to cut it down, but in a very specific way, so it...
Well, in a beer can, yeah.
Man, there is some hardcore mathematics. Dude, how much geometry and mathematics must go into something like that? Like, honestly.
There's no mathematics. It's the way you cut the pie.
Well, there is with that, because, I mean, if you think about it, you have to make sure that you cut it in a way so it actually, once it falls, it, falls in a very specific area in the 360 degrees it could potentially fall in a very specific degree that it does fall. I mean, so there is at least some mathematics with that.
You know what a pie cut is?
Yeah, it's where you cut at a very specific angle, which is also geometry, which is math there.
Straight angle.
Straight
Which way
angle.
is it gonna fall? That way.
Hence, there's mathematics, though.
Not really. I mean,
well, yeah, well...
People have been doing it for fucking years.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like they don't realize it, but there's a lot of mathematics with that type of shit. Mainly in geometry, especially. But they don't, not like, in the actual actions and shit, but without, subconsciously, though, there's, like, a lot of math to make sure that you make sure that bitch falls right on a beer can.
And they also have axe throwing and...
Oh, I love axe throwing. Have I shown you the videos when I went axe throwing in Texas?
No, but they have axe throwing where you have to hit a beer can in the center of the fucking tree.
I wish that was the case for the place I was at, because there's a few times I hit some bullseyes.
But no, they have... hot saw, speed cutting, choker setting, log fall, axe throwing.
Oh, this reminds me. Have you ever been to Camp Dakota?
Fuck Camp Dakota.
So that tells me you haven't, but it's like a place where you can go camping where they have like teepees and also a place where you can also set up your own tents too.
It's like Fort Stevens.
I don't know. I don't know Fort Stevens, so I don't know.
Fort Stevens is basically somewhere I would want to take you that you would literally go walk around for hours and go, oh my god, this was here? Basically, it's a World War II base.
Well, it's not that. Camp Dakota's not that. That sounds fucking awesome, but that's not what it is. It's a camp where they have like this fat-ass paintball field where they have like a trench, some bunkers, like a whole setup where they have like a little city where you can do some urban shit. Like they have a huge paintball field. They have an axe throwing. They have a rock climbing thing. They have a lot of shit, honestly, for, like, a little, like, place where you can just go camping, basically. I mean, because, like, you don't necessarily have to do any of the activities there. You can just go camping and explore wherever the fuck. But if you want, like, they do have these type of things saying, I went paintballing to Camp Dakota and did some of the axe throwing there, and it's fucking pretty legit. Like, they got some pretty decent axes, and also the paintball and shit, especially the field, is fucking legit. Like, the outdoor field is, like...
If I could get into the place I want to, I would take you. But I can't.
Really? Why can't you take me? Or why can't
Camp Rylea.
Well, why can't you... Well, what's the prohibition?
We're not military.
Oh, it's a veteran-only thing?
No.
Oh.
It's an active
military
base.
Oh.
They do everything.
So it's like a, mil-sim type of stuff.
Better than mil-sim, because they actually fire live rounds.
Oh. Damn.
They have an active range, and it's on the beach.
Well, damn.
There's literally times that you cannot drive past a certain area.
Because they're
doing live rounds.
Yeah.
And they also have...
Speaking of which, I actually got new magazines. I didn't show the stream yet, but...
But no, they literally have active
Wednesday
range.
I'm going to go out shooting, so I actually have a video of that for sure.
but I want to take you to Fort Stevens because I know how much you like World War II shit.
Yeah, there's actually, I think, a World War II fort in Oregon that I went to on the coast.
Fort Stevens.
Yeah, so I've been there at least once. Yeah.
But have you walked around the whole thing?
Maybe not the entire thing, but I have walked a pretty extensive amount of it. At the time, I didn't take many pictures.
Did they take you to the ship?
Is that like the old, like...
wooden ship that ran aground on the beach?
Yeah, no, I've seen that, yeah.
It's still there.
Yeah. And there's also like a old rustic, like more, steel framed ship that the part of the frame is still on the coast as well.
That's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah. No, I've been there plenty of times.
How long?
I've been there like 3 or 4 times.
Did they also take you down to the Columbia bar?
Oh, that ship? That beach is so fucking windy. It is a very windy beach.
Did they ever take you to the bar?
The bar?
The bar.
I don't think I've been there. I haven't done a tour. I just explored it on my own. So I've been to these places on my own. I've actually have a few pictures of myself.
It's called the Columbia Bar. It's the most treacherous bar you can't cross.
Huh. I don't think I've been there.
It's in Warrenton.
Columbia Bar?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the Columbia River goes into the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, it's the most treacherous bar that basically during
Have we been there? I don't think I've been there, personally.
That's probably because it's in the water.
No, it isn't. You can get out there. They have a jetty.
Well, yeah. Well, I guess it's...
Well, you've also got to realize...
Do that nature
camp, outdoor school in 6th grade.
Fort Lewis.
No, that wasn't Fort Lewis. I don't know where that was, but that was like literally a mile away from the coast. Like
Fort Lewis is on the coast too. Well,
it was literally a mile away from the coast because there was only one time we actually went to the coast during outdoor school, and we had to take like a little hike on this trail to get to it.
And you're real close to the Columbia River too.
I don't remember the Columbia River. We never were. I don't think we were near that. I think I don't know where we were.
An old war fort.
We were never in outdoor school. We were never near a war fort. I think we were in, if I remember correctly, at least for my outdoor school in 6th grade, I think we were in Central Oregon somewhere on the coast. I don't know where. I don't remember that. I just remember being, honestly, if I remember, I think close to Cannon Beach, but not near it. But like, you know, I think either north of it or south of it.
He's like a mile off. You're like a couple miles off from where I'm talking about.
A couple miles off where you're talking about?
I know exactly where it's at.
Honestly, I don't think it was Fort Stevens, but if the area I'm talking about is accurate to the general geography of what you're all talking about, I think we were at least near it or by it or something like that, but we never went to it.
We just gotta realize that...
Okay, either or you've been to Fort Stevens.
Maybe on a family trip with you and Mom and shit. Yeah, so I personally don't... Well, the thing is, I personally...
That's a Columbia Bar. Well, not at Fort Stevens.
I don't know why, but I don't personally remember it.
Line of rock, and that's Columbia Bar, you know, where the Columbia River goes into the...
Like Astoria, basically?
Yes.
I've been to Astoria, but like the actual like barge shit you're all talking, I don't remember that specifically. I remember.
You can't see it.
You've been there.
You've been to the Columbia River.
Okay, so I've been to Astoria. Okay, you know, okay, I remember that. You know, traveling through Astoria.
Once I took you to Fort Stevens, and I thought that's where your camp was.
The outdoor school. I don't think it was at Fort Stevens, but I don't know why, but I just am not remembering Fort Stevens. At least that specifically. I remember different times we passed through Astoria.
That's probably...
I know it was somewhere up there.
I don't know why I'm not...
A bunch of camps up on...
Okay, now that I have, like, at least, you know, you talking about it, and now he's mentioning that I've been there multiple times, I don't remember Fort Stevens, but evidently I've been there, so I feel like, I mean, maybe I'm just...
If that wasn't your... outdoor camp.
It was like I remember my outdoor camp having like a lodge basically, and I remember this about my outdoor camp or outdoor school. There was like a wooden lodge, and there was a bunch of like little log cabins that all the kids were sleeping in and shit. And there was also like a big concrete building for like the bathroom slash the showers and all that shit. And it was just like a big field basically. And there was like the massive log cabin, you know, where like the cafeteria slash like community hall thing basically was all at. And a massive fat ass field where, you know, all the activity.
You were in fucking Washington. I know.
No, we were not in Washington. We were in Oregon. This was Oregon.
Church camp up on the gorge? On top of the gorge?
That was like summer church camp shit.
Summer camp, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about that. No, that was they didn't have cabins and shit like that. Well, they did, but they weren't like traditional cabins. They were like concrete, modern. There were modern buildings like that. That's different.
Like church camp. I wanted to check.
No, that shit was in Corbett, and that's different. And what I'm talking about was on the coast, and it was all like wooden. It was like the aesthetic of being like a wooden, vintage style, you know, kind of rustic, rural, country, west, you know, like early 1900s, late 1800s style aesthetic type of shit. I don't.
That wasn't on the beach. Okay.
It was like a mile or two away from the beach, like what I'm talking about for outdoor school.
Okay, I was thinking of where the Lewis and Clark.
Honestly, like I would have to go to my elementary school, and if some of the administrators that I grew up with are still working there, like I'll have to ask them because they would be the ones to know.
You might want to get all them pipe cleaners up.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I'll get to that. We need to do a beach camping this summer. Yes, we do. Stefan, you're absolutely right. Honestly, like, if we do, we should go near Lincoln City or some shit. Because Lincoln... No?
Go the other way.
What's the other way? North, south?
Astoria, Warrenton, and Seaside.
Well, Rockaway Beach and Cannon Beach, like, honestly, Rockaway is a really, like, I remember, especially in my early childhood, we went to Rockaway Beach, especially for 4th of July, all the time. Oh, that reminds me, you know what? If they still do it, dude, Rockaway Beach has, like, the most badass fucking 4th of July parade and shit, and the Air Force National Guard will actually do, like, a fucking low flyby and shit, you know, for the parade. You know what? If we can try, let's do a 4th of July fucking camping trip near Rockaway Beach. Because honestly, if they still do it in Rockaway, like the fucking parades on 4th of July are fucking legit. Like, I'm not even kidding. It's almost like borderline, like almost like Mardi Gras like aesthetic, but just 4th of July, basically. It's like, remember all the times we've been to Rockaway Beach and how they had that badass parade every year and shit?
I love that place.
That's what I mean. It's like, it's legit. Like, dude, we gotta. Honestly, let's try it. Let's try to do that. Like.
But what you guys should actually try to do.
Well, if you have extra time, that's right by the Nehalem River, so we can camp on the river.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Lincoln City's.
I mean, it'll be impossible.
Lincoln City's too far. I'm talking about Rockaway Beach.
If you want to spend a buttload of money to get a hotel room.
Fuck that. We're gonna go camping.
Or you can try to like find a spot on the beach, which will probably kick you off. So we find a spot in the Nehalem River where you will probably want to be early.
Well, yeah, honestly, the idea is that if we are going to do this idea, at least if maybe this year, and if not, next year for sure, like, we're going to go camping. Like, we're not going to go do a hotel, whatever the fuck that. Like, we're going to go camping and shit.
You get enough people pitch in, you guys can get a fucking, can probably get at least 2 rooms.
No,
well,
camping.
Honestly, we're going to do camping for sure.
I mean, if you want to go easy, you get, like, the big camping spot for a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you want to go for real, you just pull off the road somewhere. We camp here.
Rockaway Beach is possible, but there might not be a place to camp there.
Or I just go to my.
Well, I mean, honestly, all we would have to do is just find an area that's near Rockaway Beach. Like, we don't necessarily have to be like close to it. As long as, like, honestly, as long as we're within like a 30 to an hour's worth drive, you know, to Rockaway. I mean, I think, you know, especially to try to check out, if I remember correctly, didn't the parade, wasn't it like 11 or noon or something like that? I don't remember this.
Something like that.
Yeah, so as long as if
It's
like.
more of a kid's parade, but it brings back memories.
Honestly, nah. I mean, even though I was a kid at the time, like, yeah, like, I mean, the nostalgia of it wasn't necessarily just a kid's thing.
Yeah.
Because if you had like a beer or two and shit, and you know, especially with all the candies and the fucking beads, like that's why it's like a Mardi Gras, but like 4th of July on a beach, like in a small town. That's basically what it is. It's gonna be family friendly, but who cares? It's dope.
And they had a whole bunch of people. You know,
it's legit pretty dope.
You could tell it's a whole, you know, from the very old to the very young. You know, they're all marching down with their big banner.
We could always go to Wheeler and pay tribute to Davis.
Yep.
Oh, whatever. I mean,
that's 2 hours from here.
Yeah.
Sukov, what are you getting into?
Sukov, hey, get over here. Hey, what are you doing, you little bastard? Stop it.
Sticking his nose into a can of some kind or another.
Logan's place is about 30 minutes from Rockaway. Well, hey, if he has this, you know, like a place that we could potentially, like, you know, look at that's near Rockaway, then honestly, then we got a spot, you know. So it's possible.
I got a spot that's 45 minutes away from it.
Long Beach might be a good idea because the tide matters less.
Fuck
True.
that.
Well, I mean, yeah, well.
Long Beach is nothing to fucking sneeze at. I've already been there. That's where I got my lip pierced.
Where?
Long Beach.
Long Beach?
The Halo River, it's right next to...
Long Beach.
Logan place is nice, but
Long
the tide
Beach
matters
and
a lot.
Warrenton are close to each other. They're just fucking
Logan
across the river.
Well, if Logan place is
That
nice...
kind of sucks because I used to live down
If the
there.
tide matters, I mean... Well, I mean, it's not going to be really that big of a deal for camping, because if we're going to just camp, like, just off the beach and shit, it shouldn't be that big of a deal.
Well, see, the one that I remember is when I used to live in, when I used to go and see my dad.
Long Beach is Harley's favorite. Well, if it's near, also if it happens to be near Rockaway and shit,
Portland
I mean,
Airport.
it could be feasible.
A lot of fireworks, and we could watch the
If we
fireworks show
even,
from
honestly,
Portland.
even if, like, you know, we don't necessarily have, like, everybody, like, you know, Tyler or some shit, you know, to be able to come along and stuff, I mean, we could definitely do it, you know, with people like Harley, Logan, and I.
Everyone's
And you.
sitting on top of the rims, lighting up.
Not accessible, high tide camping is right on the beach. Ah.
Where you can go up to Washington and still buy fireworks, yeah.
No, this was in Montana.
Long Beach is
Oh, you
really
can
close
still
to
go up to
Rockaway.
Washington
Oh,
and buy
okay.
fireworks all you want.
Oh, honestly, geographically, I don't know where Long Beach
Indian
is in comparison
reservation,
to some of these other towns.
You're set.
I haven't been there, so.
The firecrackers.
I've only been to Rockaway, Lincoln City, Seaside,
You can do
Newport,
that in Washington.
Lincoln
We have to go to the
City,
Indian reservation for
a
that.
few other places. But
No, if we,
But
if
I
it,
like
Depot
driving
Bay is
past
another
that
one,
from
Tillamook.
Detroit, we're going through Wyoming. It's like, oh, fire. Chad's just like getting kind of in a wad, and I go in there, and no one's there. I'm just like, shit, I could just grab handfuls of fireworks, get in the truck, go. And he's like, oh, hello. And then go over next door to his trail house. And, yeah, can I catch the fireworks? He was going to walk in there and walk out with whatever. I don't know what his deal was, but I was honest. And I got a big ass brick of
no, see, the reason I want to take you to
black
Seaside,
cats and
I've been to Seaside.
rockets.
well, Seaside is more of a tourist town, is what I call it, because
It is. I mean, Lincoln City is
I'm not a
too, because they
tourist, I
have
like-
a Chinook casino there.
I live,
And the Deep River.
I live in the fucking Coast Range, so it's kind of one of those things.
Lucky bastard.
Dude, it's like 45 minutes away from my mom's house. Literally, I can drive from my mom's
Asshole.
house to fucking Astoria.
Prick.
But the reason I would go down to
What's the
Seaside
Rockaway Beach? I've
would
been to
be,
Manzanita, but not Rockaway.
The beach is close.
Well, honestly, like the rocks, like I mean, there's a lot of I mean, realistically, Rockaway is kind of more like a
Arcade.
retirement type of town.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if anything,
But
I mean,
there's
there's a
still
lot of cool
arcades
scenery.
going on.
Again, the 4th of July parade that I was talking about earlier
They
is the
have
big,
that.
the big
Seaside.
thing that Rockaway
Where?
gets.
Seaside.
Seaside?
You've never
If
seen
anything,
the
it's
Seaside
more of like a
Arcade?
stopover town. But me and my
I
family
know
growing up a
Carolina.
lot, especially during the 4th of
Seaside
July, would
Arcade
go
is
there every
basically-
year.
It's been there for
and
eons.
you know, it would be pretty legit. So at least for me, I legitimately like have fond memories of Seaside,
Yeah, it's
of
on Main
Rockaway
Street.
Beach. I'm thinking Seaside because I'm talking over them.
Like,
No.
drive and play a few games on the way home.
Oh,
I was thinking more late July or early August.
That would be you.
Well,
stay in a hotel
hey,
for
I mean that works
2
too.
nights and
If it's not the 4th, that don't
walk
matter.
around.
The 4th is, you know, there's also the Blues Fest near the 4th of July. If anything, you know, we don't have to do that shit. We can go to Blues Fest. It didn't do the camping shit later.
They had like all kinds of.
I mean, honestly, I haven't been to Rockaway in a while, so like, I mean, I guess I'm just feeling nostalgic about it now that it's just kind of been brought up.
I think it was Newport.
Realistically, there's probably better places, honestly.
It was like a fossil and rock place. They had all kinds of.
If it happens to be near Lincoln City, I definitely probably want to go to the casino there, though.
So tigers, or
just keep that in mind.
Huge monster velocity.
I might want to, you know.
There was this one place that was.
You know, do myself at the roulette tables a little bit. You know what I mean?
When I was living in Everett,
If they have a mesh Chinook, I actually don't know what to do.
I went up to Seattle for a day.
I want
And they had like
to ask them, but
something this tall of nothing but amethyst on the inside.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, big old fucking amethyst rocks and shit like that. Okay, what are you talking about?
oh, just like you know, when we might do like a camping trip on the beach, and at least my friend was thinking more like late July and early August, and he was like asking what's at Rockaway Beach, and it's like realistically it's more like a retirement town, so not much.
Seaside would be the most pleasurable.
I mean, we've been to Lincoln City a few times, and there's actually pretty. Honestly, there's kind of some.
Lincoln City, you would have to get a hotel because their
No,
campgrounds are far away.
well,
Yeah,
at least my mom had a hookup
Rockaway is
though.
a family place, but 4th of July, Rockaway is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like 4th of July, like their main hook is 4th of July because of the parade. Like that's the main. I have a lot of nostalgia of that. So like,
Well, see, the thing that I'm thinking is, if you guys want to do that, you guys should plan it way before the 4th of July. Like now, you guys should start planning it because you've got to realize it's gonna
Monday,
be fucking,
4th of July, Lettuce is headlining the Blues Fest.
Oh, it's gonna be fucking packed, dude. Seriously,
Well, yeah.
packed.
Well, and also, honestly, realistically, we're probably gonna do the Blues Fest and shit. So
Well, you can't do.
we
the
could
first
go to
full
the beach
weekend in
area
August
for
either.
free.
I'm
Oh,
just
yeah.
saying, if you go up there, just hit the Dehalo River, but you want.
And also, random side question: does the Chinook Casino in Lincoln City have roulette tables?
Yes.
Fuck yes.
Do you have to buy in? Yes. Is it a high price? Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I don't give a fuck. Like, honestly, I'm just saying, like, if
Dude,
if me and my homies do a beach camping trip and it happens to be near Lincoln City, I want to go to the casino. Like, I'm gonna be like, hey, like, y'all can literally go to the fucking, like, bars and drink or do whatever the fuck. You can literally, like, drop me off and do whatever the fuck. I'll just text you when I'm, like, kind
Dude,
of...
you can go to the casino and drink and smoke. What are you talking about?
Well, that's what I mean. Like, my friends could literally do that shit, or they can either, like, literally drop me off and go fuck off and do whatever else. Like, I want to give a shit. Like,
You have to know how to work a casino if you want to drink.
I'm kind of a little bit of a gambling guy, so, I mean, especially when it comes
You have to have your limit. You hit the nickel machines.
Well, that's...
And they give you
I
free
know
drinks.
that.
So you can sit there for a long time.
Let's say
It's
hypothetically...
cheaper than buying their expensive app.
Honestly, what I would do, for me personally, is like how I saved for my Vishka. I would literally put like money aside in that like little Ziploc bag and just like, alright, you know.
You walk in with $700, you come out with like 20. Trust me.
Well, I wouldn't do $700 fucking dollars for one.
You walk in with
I would literally...
much as you could spend, and you leave the rest in your
Like,
car,
honestly,
your hotel
like,
room,
my
everything else
idea
like
would
that.
be like, alright, I'll put like maximum maybe like 300, you know, for like some chips and shit or whatever the fuck.
But then you also gotta think if you're...
And then I would go to the ones that I know that are actually, you know, despite the house always wins mentality, like the ones that are a little, at least somewhat in favor to the person gambling and shit. Blackjack and roulette.
You're not even close to those.
Yeah,
Really?
Stay away from those.
Roulette? Okay,
No,
honestly,
no, no,
there's
no.
a trick to
No, no,
roulette.
no, no.
I don't know.
No,
I don't
no,
know
no.
about this.
No,
Hold
no,
up.
no.
I'm old to
How
defend.
much blackjack have you played?
I played
Not
some
enough to
blackjack.
win.
I played some blackjack.
Yeah, but you're nowhere close to the fucking mentality of where you need to go to win. Where I used to go,
Trust me.
No.
Oh my fucking god! I'm getting. Oh my god! These fucking boomers and these pessimists.
No.
These pessimists. These cynics.
I used to live in Everett. I was an hour away from 2 casinos. We go in the morning and play fucking Quasita and win. We go in the afternoon and play Tulalip and win.
Roulette is statistically the best odds. I think it's like 58 to 42 house. That's what I mean. There's a fucking trick to roulette, and you're all like, "Stay away from roulette," and it's like, no.
You know the trick. Give it a try.
Well, basically, think about it. You have a 48 coin toss, basically 48 outside of the 2 green zeros, the 0 and the double 0, of black or red. So if you at least put something on red or black, you're at least like a 48% chance always are going to guarantee at least some form of win. If literally you put all in a red or black, you have at least a 48% chance either or to get a potential win. Now it's a high gamble, but it's
always want to put an extra one on the greens.
Yeah, you want to put maybe a couple on the green. You want to put a few, around and shit. But the one that you want to like look at,
everything else on one color. Right?
Yeah, and also, there's the evens and the odds. There's those too. So even numbers and odd numbers. So there's also that margin as well. And also, don't the zeros count as even numbers, if I remember correctly?
I never.
Played a lot of honestly, roulette, I'm a little rusty on some of those specific rules.
Right, the evens to the odds, so you want to do.
Yeah, exactly. Blacks, so there is legitimate margin where you can win.
Half odds, and then you want to put like one each on the greens, because it's a long shot, but if you win big.
Yeah, exactly. So honestly, there's tricks to roulette to where even if it's, you can either break even or at least win a little something, depending on how you bet and put where, where your chips,
either you lose all the way or you win.
Well, see,
yeah.
How you're talking about Lincoln City. Lincoln City is not an old town anymore. It is a...
It's more, yeah, I think it's actually one of the biggest cities on the Oregon coast, I think, at this point.
The reason is...
Newport is?
Newport is. The reason Lincoln City is so...
Like that.
Goose Bay? Lincoln City is at least top 5, at least.
Way down there, that's...
I remember...
Close to California. It's somewhere down there.
Rockaway's a small town, isn't it?
Yeah, Rockaway's just like a
little small town.
Rockaway's a spit on the map.
Yeah.
The only reason I go to Rockaway... Haystack Rock.
Yeah. Also the 4th of July shit, too.
I spent the kid's life there.
No, the reason I'm saying this...
The riptide would suck me out, so I'm making my way back. And
I remember a few times that...
This little kid goes...
The reason I'm saying
by,
it...
I'm just like, oh, shit, I'm all tired of getting back by sea, because I could still touch the ground, but the water's all coming at me.
The reason I'm saying that is...
And I grab him, I go back out there and grab him and... Pull him back to the shore. Bring him back to his mom and dad, and they did speak English. They're Hispanic. But
you've seen the Goonies, right?
I don't think.
No shit, I've seen the Goonies. It's one of my favorite movies.
Do you know where any of those places are?
Which one?
Goonies. It took place in wasn't one of the shooting areas in Astoria?
Yeah, Astoria.
Astoria.
A little bit.
A little bit. It wasn't all Astoria. It was partially on other places on the Oregon coast as well.
Astoria, Haystack Rock.
Haystack Rock, yeah, that was another one.
And that's it.
That's it?
Mm-hmm. Because when they
there, I think there's a few other areas. Wasn't there?
No.
No?
I know where all of it's at.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay, when you're going
places.
You probably know this. Going the back way to Haystack Rock.
Have I been to Haystack Rock?
Back way to his, I know what you call it, state park.
Yeah, but you're going the back way, and then you look off in the distance, you can see the rock.
Was it Highway 53? Or?
I think it's 53. Yeah, when you're going through the switchbacks.
Yeah.
You know when the guy's riding the bike,
it's just like back and forth.
They're taking them down that.
Yeah, but
that's literally 53 that you can go down and see the rock. And when the ship's taking out, That's where Haystack Rock is. When you see it come behind that rock, that's Haystack Rock.
Have I been to Haystack Rock? I know.
It's a big ass fucking rock in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah, I know what it is. I'm just wondering if I personally have been.
There's also a big sand beach there that you can climb up the fucking sand dune.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Haystack Rock.
They have a Ecola state park.
You know, I think I have been there.
You know what Ecola means?
No, but you know where...
It's an Indian word.
It
means dead whale.
Pelican.
What word?
Pelican...
Ecola.
Ecola?
Yeah. Ecola State Park, right outside Cannon Beach.
Oh.
It's an Indian word that means dead whale. Because a dead whale washed up.
Pelican Restaurant?
Probably a Tillamook dialect.
You know the Pelican Restaurant?
For a Tillamook tribe.
Pelican Restaurant?
Pelican Restaurant?
I've seen that before.
Yeah.
I think I've seen it. Yeah, I think I've seen it before. Yeah.
Right next to Haystack Rock. Where the beach is, where they land the dory boats.
Oh.
Literally, during the summer, you go out and they have the dory boats that come on the beach.
Yeah, that's... Oh,
yeah, it's right next to it. Because Haystack Rock is here, and then Pelican Bay is Pelican Bar.
Oh, yeah, I've been to Pelican Bay. Yeah, I know. I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I think we passed it once before.
Thing about the dory boats.
Yeah, that's where Haystack Rock is.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So you guys exactly know what I'm talking about.
Okay, so yeah, I've been there before. Yeah.
Talking about Pelican Bay. I'm not sure if we ate there before or not. Oh, probably.
It's fucking expensive.
Is it?
Since I haven't been there.
Do you think it'd be like cheap because like a lot of the food is like basically like right off the fucking coast?
No, literally, it's basically.
It's a nice restaurant.
It's a nice restaurant, and it's expensive. Ooh. It's like, I mean, you can probably get like a plate for like $20.
Oh. Ooh.
You go to Lincoln City and it's probably twice as more. If you do go to Lincoln City and you do go to the...
I've been to Lincoln City a bunch of times.
If you do go to the casino, figure out when they have their buffet.
I have been there once because I seen a cover version of a Michael Jackson performance.
You need to figure out when they have their buffet because
I need to figure that out. What's funny is how What's funny is how I was underage, but the only reason why I was able to get in was basically because my mom was just
Your mom was with you.
Yeah, well that, and also it's like, yo, get Dad's jacket and his cigarette smoking, you know, his big denim jacket will make you look older. That was basically it. It's like she was with me and that.
The reason
and I was wearing it, and honestly, I was just like, sitting there, just kind of like, yeah, whatever, just hands in pocket, just kind of chilling.
You gotta.
Yeah, and because
at least a little bit disguise yourself.
I mean, honestly, it's like I bet I could have worn whatever I was wearing that day, even my jacket and shit, and probably still could have gotten away with it.
The thing is I want to take you up to, Marysville.
Where?
Marysville.
Marysville? I don't think I've been there.
Stonehenge?
Tulalip and Quistita.
Oh, yeah, because they're mentioning about
and
that.
Cabela's.
Sir, I couldn't do this before I climbed up to the top of Stonehenge.
No, literally, Cabela's.
Well, I'm going to have to fucking do that now.
No. Cabela's. Biggest gun retail in Washington.
I kind of figure that.
Every gun you can think of.
I know. There's one in Tigard, and I think it's like the only one in Portland, I think.
It's only one.
Yeah, and I've been there, and they have like things from like the Swiss, like 1890 fucking like Grevairs and
they have Swiss and
Grevaier 98s, where it's like the fucking, you know, single pullback type of bolt actions.
Revolvers and
dude, like I've been to Cabela's and Tigard, and they have like I said, like fucking Grevaier 98s, where it's a straight pullback. They got fucking like M1 carbines, the paratrooper variants of the buttstocks. Now, actually, I remember talking to one of the dudes that was working up there and checking out one of the paratrooper variants of the buttstock.
They're pretty expensive.
Well, actually, the one I had was pretty cheap. The ones they had were actually pretty cheap, and one of the things that they were mentioning is, like, honestly, like, one thing that makes them kind of cheap and honestly is impractical is the buttstock, if you think about it. And I was actually kind of, like, holding it, and I had the folding stock on the M1 carbines and the paratrooper variants, and I kind of was forcing it back like if I had recoil on it, and that stock literally started collapsing on me forcibly, like, you know, like, because it was so like worn in and shit, and I was like, oh god, I was like, damn, I could kind of see why these were kind of shit. And honestly, a lot of paratroopers, if they saw U.S. Army or like other divisions or regiments, they would actually trade their fucking M1 carbines and stuff, because the other ones, because the armies and stuff, they would have the wooden buttstock variants, and they would also have spare parts for that shit. So they would just trade in their folding stocks and just get the full like wooden stock variants and replaced on their shit, because their folding stocks were just so shitty. And they really were. Like, I was like, when I like literally, I did like barely, just like barely went and it went gonk, and it just like and just so quickly. I was like, what the fuck?
The only reason I go,
it's like, how does someone shoot this?
I go for the fish.
For the like fishing shit?
No, for the actual live fish.
Oh, live fish?
Yes.
Oh,
you've never seen that?
Do they have acapels?
Yes, they have a fucking little tunnel that you can walk through and see all the fish.
They
have live fish, which is fucking weird.
I never.
Cabela's. You literally walk into Cabela's. They actually have a section you can walk through and actually see live.
I never knew that. Because honestly, the only times I've ever been there was literally either because like either my brother or some family friends of mine that were going shooting were literally grabbing ammo.
If you have a chance,
see Big Bear in Billings.
Big Bear?
Or
I think.
Yes.
I've been like growing up. I've been there like every fucking summer. So I mean.
Also, it used to be just like this little Safeway size, or smaller than that, place where you could get like outdoor stuff, and eventually now they have this huge, like 2-story monster building. And they have like the mounts of like all the animals, like the cougar, the bear, the elk. The
I got those in my work. What are you talking about?
I mean, I like honestly, like pretty much like every hunting / outdoor shop has that shit now. So now you're basically, you're talking like you're pretty much describing his work at this point. I'm like honest, like I mean, maybe I feel like I've been there before.
They had where you could get your picture taken with a.
I mean, maybe growing up, maybe like at an early age.
So that you could be like sitting there with like your gun and you're standing on your.
Honestly, I think maybe. I mean, maybe at an early age when I was younger, but like I don't know about any time recently when I was there, like in the last decade, but like in the.
Well, I've been there. You probably have too, but I know we went there. You know, when we went out to Epping.
You're talking about Montana.
Oh, yeah. You know, I think, I mean, because I remember being there at least, like, once.
I know we went there then, and I think, or at least I know I went there after that. I think it was all of us.
I remember at Road Lodge, at least, we went to that one gun shop and shit that, funny enough, like, I think one of the owners said that her daughter was, like, at Portland Community College or some shit, and at the time, I happened to be going there, and I was like, what the fuck? No, I was honestly through for a loop. I was like, you know, there's an off chance I might have at least seen her. I might not have known her, but there's literally like some random fucking off chance, dude. I was like, what the fuck?
Like the time in Arizona.
I got that East German Patolfa cap there, I remember. Started my East German collection.
Aeronautics Museum.
Oh, which one?
In Phoenix.
Yeah. I saw the F4F Wildcat land there and shit. That was actually really fucking cool to hear a Grumman F4F Wildcat, like in its all former glory, you know, flying out, hearing that old Grumman engine and taking the landing and shit.
You and Dad went in, and I'm just like, oh, they have guest books or signed in, and the guy sat there looking at me and just like, Milwaukee, Oregon.
I didn't know they had that. I would totally sign that shit.
Just like,
why didn't you tell me? I would have done that before I walked out. What the hell? I think I remember buying aviator glasses there before I left.
You know where you know where the bomber is? I'm just like, yeah, I live a couple miles away from there.
Not even that. We live literally like a mile and a half from that shit.
Yeah, they're like.
Before they removed it, yeah.
I'm just like, they're taking
it down. And then, yeah.
It's just like, oh, yes, lots of the pieces are flying this one here.
Yeah, and we took a tour. At least I did. We walked in it and shit. And
lots of the
dude, honestly, realizing that was honestly so fucking cool because it's like the one that we walked into and realizing that a lot of the parts came from that one, like, that is just like so cool, honestly, in my mind. And I remember that time we were taking that little boat trip in that little that canyon area. Yeah, like I saw it flying overhead, you know, and just flying and shit. I was like, and honestly, now in hindsight, realizing like a lot of the pieces from that one. Even, you know, it's like, it's still kind of sad that it's gone, but, like, knowing so much of that was able to make the one that, you know, we saw fly and we got to be inside of.
The pieces from the one down here.
Yeah, and
went there a long time before they took this one down.
Yeah.
Because it was pretty much gutted. You know, they needed, like, the engines and...
Right, yeah.
You know, other stuff like that.
I mean, it's so fucking cool, though, knowing that.
It's fully functional, but it's just like hanging there as a drive-in, you know, because it's rainy, and if it's raining, you can drive it.
You can kind of be underneath it. Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And the hot chick and the roller skates would come out with your orders.
And I remember, honestly, like, every now and then I would see birds because they would make nests in there and shit. You know, every now and then there would be birds kind of chilling next to it and stuff. I mean, man, that's such a memorable thing, but, I mean, knowing that it went to something so cool as, you know, to restore such an old, iconic, you know, cool piece of Americana, like a B-17, I mean, like, that's still really fucking cool.
If it's a cheap...
And it's flying.
Put another bomber out there, you know?
Yeah, and honestly, knowing that it's fucking flying shit, like, and that's just so cool, though.
Well, that one's not flying, but the...
Well, I mean, obviously the one that we had wasn't, but knowing that... But knowing that, like, remnants of that, though, is, and it's, like, in the air, and, you know, kind of...
I believe the one we tour could fly, but they...
Yeah, no, the one that was touring...
Take you out for a ride.
Yeah, because it was, like, $500 for a fucking flight, you know, or some shit. Like, it was ridiculous. I mean, honestly, not necessarily. I would pay that price to fucking fly in that thing. I would. Hell yeah. Yeah, like, I would fly, like, for what? Like
$500, I get a ride in the ball turret.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if I remember, like, I mean, if memory serves right, I think when it comes to flying in those things, you can really be anywhere you want in it, because, like, it's, you know, because being in a bomber crew, there's no, like, seats to sit in, so you're gonna probably just be,
well,
you know...
actually, I'm thinking, if I got a ride, I'd just, like...
You could be in, like, the nose turret, you could be in the ball turrets, you could be anywhere, really.
To the other,
as long as you're not fucking with the pilots.
I think the ball turret would be great, hanging upside down. It's like, this is cool.
Well, like, if you think about it, though, like, health-wise, especially in considering survivability, ball turret would be horrible, because, like, you're literally, like, you're literally, like, you're literally like this, and you're just crunching this tiny little ball the entire time.
And upside down.
Well, yeah, you're literally like, whatever the fuck, and it's just like, and also, whatever if your shit gets shot, like, and there happens to be, like, you know, one straight bullet, like, I mean, you're kind of fucked. I mean, it was, being in a ball turret, the tail gunner and a ball turret was basically, like, the worst type of positions you could have in a bomber crew.
Actually,
just out of sheer survivability rate,
wasn't that bad. I mean, everything was bad, but...
Well, yeah, like, honestly, literally, the idea of trying to say that you're insane...
That have less survivability rate.
Yeah, and also, like, the Air Force, especially if you're in a bomber crew, like, they actually basically said, like, hey, you know, you can't take the insane plea, like, hey, I'm, like, insane, I'm actually crazy. Like, you know, you can't really use that as an excuse to get out of being a bomber crew, because basically the idea is you have to be crazy to fucking be in that shit.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's the excuse to be in the bomber crew.
Exactly, yeah. Like, they dead ass fucking use that as an excuse. Like, I mean, no, if you're trying to get out of it, no, you are sane. So, guess what? Fuck you. Like, you're gonna be on out of shit, you know, so... Like,
especially earlier,
because survivability...
And the pilots would be escorting them, but they only had a certain amount of range. And you'd say they'd be coming in, and you could see all the turrets just look like a swarm of bees.
Well, there was that, eventually, like, the German...
Or the fighters had to turn around and come back.
Yeah, well, also there was the tactics where, like, a lot of, they knew that a lot of American pilots are pretty opportunistic, so, because they also wanted to try to get ace titles and shit like that, you know, so there was also, like, the ability of, like, alright, so we'll have, like, a diversionary squadron that kind of flies nearby, and we'll have our actual squadrons that are going to come in and, you know, do the attacks and shit, you know, come in and dive in after the fucking fighters, you know, dip off and try to, you know, hit the diversionary squadron and shit.
Oh, yeah, you have the diversionary
because,
guys.
You know, especially when it comes to German aircraft, at least with their fighters.
And swarms of people, like, way up there as high as you can go.
Yeah, because a lot of the German aircraft, there were
attracted German settings. It's like,
well, the idea because because of the Messerschmitt Bf-19s and the Focke-Wulf 190s and later the Messerschmitt Me-262s, they were all meant to do specifically one type of fighter doctrine: boom and zoom. So they would be at high altitudes and come in, zoom in, and use a lot of their velocity and a lot of their energy to come in and do their attack. And then they'll come in and use a lot of that velocity and energy, so if another fighter comes in to try to attack them, they have too much energy to, like, whoop, and it'll just, like, zoom out, gain all that altitude back, circle around, and boom and zoom again. That was their main strategy, especially when it comes to Focke-Wulfs and FW-190s. The Messerschmitt Bf-109s, especially later models, and like I said, the Me-262s. Their main doctrine was boom and zoom shit. While like a lot of American fighters, like the Mustang and shit, were more like turn and burn type of fighters, where a lot of their velocity and energy comes in with their turning radius and shit. So the Germans kind of knew that a little bit, and that's why they would have a lot of these diversionary squadrons and have a lot of them higher up, especially when the sun's at a certain area, so they can use the sun to their advantage and boom and zoom tactics and take out a lot of bombers that way, because 24/7, day or night, they were getting hit with fucking bombers and shit, you know, like all the time. So shit like fucking like the 110, you know, the Me-110s, and later down the line the Me-410s, so Focke-Wulf 9, like they took high advantage of that type of shit. And I mean, despite, you know, the mass destruction a lot of these bombers did, there was a lot of high kill rates amongst German pilots just because of that type of shit. Eventually the Americans also were able to catch on with that and developed a lot of their Mustangs, and also this really cool variant of the Mustang called the F-82 Twin Mustang, where it's basically two Mustangs attached together, which also solved that problem you were talking about, where they had to turn away because they ran out of fuel and shit, and they had to go back to base and shit. So basically they doubled the fuel rate of the aircraft and shit, and there was also two pilots, so if one needed to take a break for a second, the other one can kind of take control for a little bit. So it so basically
the two bodies. And
and the Germans did it too, but they didn't do the two pilot thing. They only had one, where it was the Bf-109Z, where it was the Messerschmitt Bf-109, but it was basically just two of them tied together, and it was the same idea.
Yeah,
and also
the Japanese call it two. I don't know the name, but they're just like two planes, one pilot.
Yeah. Past that like 60.
Yeah,
oh, what's up, Logan?
Those things.
Yeah. But yeah, like, I mean, it's pretty interesting, like, how, like, you know, different military doctrines eventually try to, like, improvise and adapt over time and shit. Because, like, a lot of the German doctrine, especially early on, was, like, boom and zoom type of shit. Because, like, their dive bombers, a lot of their ground attack aircraft, a lot of their, even fighting Soviet aircraft and shit was more based on that type of shit. Because, especially, at least early on, the Soviets weren't as innovative with their aircraft, because they had like biplanes and like monoplane open cockpit I-16s and I-15 Chaikas and shit like that. But as soon as like
the English take the Bismarck.
Well, yeah, well, the swordfishes, yeah. Well, I mean, while obsolete, well, also, yeah, despite that, they also had the Po-2s.
High-tech weapons, so whenever they shot,
you're actually all right, because
they were just like biplanes, just like
because they were so slow. Actually,
they're way slow, so the Germans are shooting all these.
Do you know of the
anti-aircraft weapons, and they're missing them because they're too slow?
Do you know of the Night Witches, the 588th Night Bomber Regiment?
sounds familiar, but
They're a Soviet night bomber regiment. They actually were all women, and they were a night bomber regiment that were literally all PO2. Like initially, the PO2 was literally like a crop duster biplane, but the Soviet Union, once wartime hit, basically converted all of them to be like bombers and like little like scout planes and shit like that. And they were ridiculously fucking slow, and honestly, technologically, like the most obsolete fucking thing, really, when it came to the war overall.
sometimes that's the best.
It was, because a lot of German night fighters were like the Me-110s and shit like that, where they required speed and required a lot of energy. And because these planes were so slow, when these Me-110s and shit like that and night fighters try to come in on them, they would have to basically go into stall speeds to even get to the max speeds of these biplanes and shit. So they couldn't really hit them. And also, another fucking advantage was they were able to turn their bombers off and shit, like their engines, and glide, basically.
Yeah, for a long way.
Exactly. Hence the name Night Witches, because by the time they were nearing their objective and, knowing how far, like, their sound of their biplanes would start hitting them, they would turn the engines off and just glide the rest of the way and drop their bombs and shit. And by the time the Germans start realizing, oh, fuck, we're getting hit, like, it was too late, because by the time they were hearing them...
Turn around, go home.
Yeah, by the time they heard them, to them, it basically sounded like... hence the nickname, the Hexen, the Night Witches, because, it sounded like there was a bunch of witches on their brooms just dropping their fucking magical bomb. Like, hence the name. Like, that's what... And also, the power metal band Sabaton made a song about them, literally called the Night Witches. Which is pretty badass song too. But like, I mean, they're actually like, and a lot of the women in the Soviet Union, at least especially for the 588th, were recognized pretty significantly. Even though at least
I heard about them, briefly on some
documentary maybe or something. Yeah, because like a lot of them basically were actually, because there was still
a big ass bag of weed.
Yeah, my roommate's mom gave that to me, basically. But yeah, but essentially,
I have to get to know her better. Shit, that would last me like 3 years.
Well, fuck. I mean, if you want some, I don't.
I still got a bunch.
Yeah. Well, anyway, but yeah, like, yeah, because despite like a lot of because despite the Soviet Union's like willingness to have women in their military, because there was also Lyudmila Pavlichenko, who has over 300 Nazi kills to her name because she was a female sniper, and there was actually a lot of women snipers in the Soviet Union as well, just in general. But like, despite all these type of things, there was still like kind of a lot of misogyny and sexism still within the Soviet army, because a lot of men would be like, oh, you're just kind of this woman that is trying to like look all masculine, blah, 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 all this sort of shit. So like the 588th and amongst these other women in the army, they were kind of underfunded, not really 100% properly equipped and shit like that. And some women, like Lyudmila Pavlichenko, even had opportunities to do speaking tours in places like in the United States, and some of them took advantage, and especially Lyudmila, where she was just like, I see all you men making fun of me, but where the fuck are you, while I'm out here killing fascists left and right. So like, some of these women actually used a lot of their like strong woman kind of feminist powers and shit, and kind of put some of the men in check who weren't really kind of off in war and shit in some ways. It was like, oh damn.
Yeah, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen, kid.
Yeah.
Shoot it right back.
Because honestly, yeah, like, because Lyudmila, because growing up, she was, at least for her, she specifically was, like, somebody who was kind of a tomboy growing up. Like, she always was, like, eager to kind of compete with boys and play with them and, like, partake in their sports and wrestling and shit like that. And when the Nazis started invading the Soviet Union at the time, she was literally like, where can I fucking enlist, and get the fuck out of my way if you stand in my way type of shit. And a lot of the recruiters are like, what the fuck, get out of here, we don't need you. And she was like, fuck you, I want to serve, I want to kill a fascist. And she was just like, and she got in, and she eventually became a sniper, and like, quickly and like pretty much immediately showed her prowess, like essentially, and like eventually became like a nightmare for a lot of Germans. Where like there was a one point where they were doing taunts at her, where she was like, "Hey, we'll give you like flowers and box of chocolates if you surrender to us and give us information, y'all." And eventually she came over to her like 300th kill, and then eventually after that the Germans were like, "Oh, now we're going to literally cut you into 300 plus different pieces, you utter Jewish fucking Soviet communist degenerates, yeah," or whatever the fuck, you know, like, they were literally doing taunts at her even when she wasn't on the fucking front, because even though she was doing speaking tours, they used a lot of different fucking taunts and a lot of different other snipers doing kills and shit to basically boost their public image, to essentially like boost not just Soviet morale but just international morale overall. Like Lyudmila Pavlichenko like became like kind of in a lot of ways, at least as an individual, kind of an international folk kind of figure type person, because I think it was like at least. I think a totality, if I remember, it's like 311 something Germans to her name during the war that she's killed over time. And she's been wounded a few times and all sorts of shit. Like, I mean, but so she's been through the thick of it and type of shit. She's a sniper and has a, like, who?
Sounds like a tough old rod.
Yeah. Check out Oska Masker's cross-country skier and a Barcelona shooter has genetic defects from Chernobyl that fucked her hands up and feet. She has sniper and it's a hell of endurance. Damn. Probably not, you know, like, out of, you know, war experience, but just out of sheer endurance, you know, to just, you know, persevere with that type of shit, though.
You get people that are
similar mentality
willing to fight for your side. They'll kick ass much better than all the rest of your people.
Yeah, like, especially if, you know, and honestly, it's like even a double, like, you know, flex if it's a woman. Like, honestly, like, at least in my mind, it's like a double flex, you know, if it's a woman, because especially when it comes to, like, you know, ideologies and the philosophy of things like feminism and stuff like that, like, I think these type of women are, like, perfect examples of what it's about. Like, you know, when you have women like Lyudmila Pavlichenko, or at least in, like, entertainment spheres, like, you know, characters like Ellen Rigby with aliens and shit, like, I mean, strong women type of, like, strong feminist archetypes like that, I think, you know, go a long way, especially when it comes to, you know, this type of stuff, because, I mean, it's like, especially when it comes to, you know, a lot of feminism and shit, you know, having like a very strong woman archetype like that, I think, you know, really enforces the idea that, like, hey, the woman can do it too. Like, there's also the old World War II propaganda / labor propaganda of the woman that is like, we can do it, you know, kind of fucking flexing her muscle and shit. Because, you know, during the war, like, a lot of women were fucking having to, you know, work in the factories and shit at the time.
You know, when they went to war, the women took over the factory jobs.
Yeah. I mean, you know, so, I mean, like, if anything, it's like there's still, I mean, even to this day, still a lot of strong, I think, you know, a lot of strong elements, you know, towards feminism, at least. Not princesses. Why not warrior princesses? I mean, if anything. Like, I mean, you know, make them, you know, strong women and warriors, but, you know, if they want to have, like, you know, the beauty and elegance of a princess at the same time, I mean, I think, you know, again, that's kind of the part of it. Because, if you look at, you know, for example, at least, like, the character of Ellen Ripley as a character in Aliens and shit, she has, like, the beauty of, like, you know, of, like, a princess, so to speak, but she's still, like, this very hardcore, working class, rugged, you know, like, warrior type and shit who's going to adapt and overcome. You know, so it's like, it's still this very strong...
Ripley kicks ass.
Exactly, that's what I mean. She's a very strong woman, feminist archetype and shit. Yeah. Non-entitlement, yeah. Like, not this, like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like, I kind of know what you mean by, like, warriors, not princesses type of thing and shit. Yeah, I'm just, you know, like, again, kind of, you know, coming at it, you know, from this different perspective, you know, in a sense. But... I know, I get what you mean, though. Because honestly, I mean, at least, I don't know, like, I always, especially lately, I've kind of had a different mentality about, like, the idea of entitlement, but at least when it comes to, like, just this general mentality of, like, oh, I'm just, like, owed this, and meh, fuck you, you know, blah, 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 and it's like, I mean, that's a little, like, whatever, but... at least a sense of like, hey,
you want to do, and
I mean, but at least a sense of like, hey, I've, partook, I've done my part, or like, hey, I've, worked, this amount, or blah, 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 or at least, have at least like some effort, kind of put forth, either in your own self or, community-wise or otherwise and shit. I mean, it's like, yeah. I mean, it's like, there's at least, some deserving entitlement. Like, because frankly, I think not just me, but everybody deserves and has an entitlement to have some basic goddamn fucking healthcare, for example. So it's just like, I mean, at least to a certain extent, I mean, entitlement isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just like, how far does that go? At least just when it comes to us as a species, man, woman, or otherwise. Like, I do think, everybody has at least, a right to some basic entitlements. In Princess Salma, hand in hand. Yeah, I mean, basically, like, the more woke, scoldy, like, hardcore, radical, anti-man feminist types. Which, honestly, especially I think these days is more of a minority than it has been in the past, like the past like 5 years or some shit. So like if anything, like I don't really necessarily think that's like the main broader element, at when it comes to feminism at this rate, which I think is good at least. Oh shit, oops. Oh, got fucked up. Boo. Oh, I'm hitting Rip City back up here real quick. Funny enough, you just literally missed the fawn. Those people like me. I mean, I think like a lot of the more radical elements of feminism and shit, still tend to have like and harbor a lot of these views. At least, from my general like kind of political, like interest in where I delve into, it doesn't really seem like as much of a strong element as it used to. At least these days. MC Logan is on? Yeah, I'm talking about it right now. Actually kind of talking about feminism at this point. But anyway, but like, I mean, at least, at least with the political figures and a lot of the political elements that I do follow, I mean, it doesn't really seem like as much of a strong suit as it used to be. If anything, it's more of a turnoff, more so than, a thing of interest or of a, discussion. Like this more like hyper anti-man, hyper like reactionary element of feminism, whether it's like turf-based shit or like anti-man shit, whatever the fuck, it's more of a turnoff. And even at least from what I understand from other feminists and shit, because at least a lot of the feminists I talk to, or at least I have watch or react to and shit, tend to be more in favor of the a lot of the feminist archetypes that I'm more talking about, or at least more of about this type of element of feminism where it's like just kind of the free expression for women, or at least for people that have more of a, or at least some form of like kind of a feminine appeal to themselves, and that type of shit. I mean, and if anything, having a more of an egalitarian general view, really, if you look at the philosophy in the long run, or at least, what it's trying to achieve. So, I mean, like, at least, that's from my general contemporary right now political type of, experience, and from what I generally see from a lot of the political people that I follow. And a lot of them tend to be pretty woke or progressive in a lot of ways. Like, some of them are non-binary, some trans, some are not, so, You know, it's just like a lot of them, you know, tend to be, you know, pretty progressive types and shit, and don't necessarily harbor these type of views. There are most people in their hostility. I don't necessarily think a lot of these type of people are most people, though. They don't count, in my opinion. Well, obviously they wouldn't, but like again, at least, you know, to me, like considering that, I mean, at least for me, like I follow, at least when it comes to a lot of like YouTube, internet, social spheres and shit, pretty popular figures that a lot of people on the progressive left, whether they're feminists or otherwise and shit, would know. Whether it's like Kanye, Demon Mama, Counterpoints, or ContraPoints, I mean, or a few other people. A lot of them tend to be, you know, trans, non-binary, or otherwise, but don't necessarily harbor, you know, these type of like hyper, like weird anti-masculine type of views of like, oh fuck men, blah blah blah, you know, type of shit. If anything, they're, you know, advocates of uplifting men and shit, but if anything, just, you know, having a nuanced approach of a more broader sense of egalitarianism in their philosophy, where it's just like, you know, there's still a lot of, you know, things, you know, when it comes to women and shit that, you know, definitely have some oppressionary elements, but you know, when it comes to a lot of aspects and elements about the system and shit, there's definitely some things that are pretty oppressive towards men too. And at least a lot of the different feminists, or at least a lot of different, you know, progressives, whether they're like woke progressives or just kind of general catch-all progressives, whatever the fuck, they all, you know, at least recognize this type of stuff. So, I mean, at least in my mind, I think a lot of this type of hyper anti-man, like, you know, like, you know, the type of turf stuff and like the anti-man, hyper anti-masculinity type of feminism and shit isn't really as strong as at least it is not as strong as it used to. Like, I mean, you know, like maybe 2015, 16, 17-ish, you know, yeah, sure. But, I mean, at this point, I don't really know as much anymore. I mean, there definitely is still around, but they're a lot more of a minority, I think. It's not to say that there isn't, like, you know, just general catch-all hostility with people in general. Because there's, you know, like, you know, some of my coworkers that, you know, I know while I might be chill with them, I can kind of tell they have kind of a general hostility, you know, about people and shit. And it's just like, I'm just glad I'm on your good side. You know what I mean? It's just like, So it's like, I mean, it's not like you're not going to see that no matter what, but not political streams. Well, a lot of regular people will follow these type of things, though. Whether directly or indirectly. There's tons of types of, quote, regular people. Bougie fucks like Tobago are, quote, regular people relative to the hills. Confederate types are, quote, regular people relative to South. Yeah. I mean, because honestly, America is just filled with all sorts of types of regular, common type of people and common folk. I mean, honestly, at least for me, you know, like, when it comes to a lot of my general philosophy in the long run, you know, I want to try to branch out to as many of those type of people as possible. But that doesn't mean, you know, cave into their type of shit, because if anything, I want to try to branch them into my philosophy. You know what I mean? So, like, that means challenging, you know, their ideas and what their preconceptions may be. I don't think anyone can accurately claim to represent all of them. Well, obviously. I mean, that's why I'm saying, you know, with what I was just mentioning, you know, it's like, you know, like, because common, regular, average day folk and shit have a plethora of all sorts of different ideas. Like, honestly, like, some of the fucking, coworker, like, you know, like, when it comes to, you know, like, thing of labor and shit, like, a lot of the things that, I kind of find out about some of my coworkers and shit, I'm just like, what the fuck? But when it comes to a lot of things about labor and certain economics, so we do agree, though, but it's just like, the misconceptions, you know, in their minds, you know, about a lot of things, you know, it's just like, whoa, boy. You know, especially for me as a labor leftist, I got a long road to fucking hoe and shit, you know what I mean? I got a big ass fucking, you know, crop of farm to fucking be hoeing there now. So it's like, oh boy. Because even my other coworker that I kind of assumed wouldn't have these ideas also does, where it's just like, oh my fucking god, oh boy, here we go. Especially the whole Reagan thing. where it's just like, where there's just like a lot of fucking, like this, oh, you're Reagan's best president. When I heard that between my two coworkers I was chatting with, I was just like, oh boy. Honestly, at least, for the conversation I was having with them, I wasn't saying too much, because honestly, I just wanted to listen to them. I wanted to hear what their opinions were. So, like in hearing their opinions, I'm like, alright, knowing what I'm hearing, it gives me an idea of what to work with, when talking with them in the future at least. Because honestly, I think that's what leftists really need to kind of do, and progressives and shit need to do, especially in the workplace, is figure out what the fuck these people believe and just absorb for a second and just figure out where to go from there. And honestly, if they're a TFG and just like it's not even worth it, then that's what they are. But if there's at least people that have like a potential and the seed of like, hey, I can probably at least talk with this person and have a back and forth and maybe have some progress, then figure out who that is, or who those people are in the workplace, because that type of shit does matter. And when it comes to direct action, that's the type of shit that, goes right in hand with it. Wait, am I missing something? Like super what? Wait, what's going on? The birthplace of lumber sexual has too many haters of men. Wait, what? There's too many haters of men here in PDX. I hate living here because I'm not... Wait, what? There's... What? Haters of men in PDX? How? Like, every time I'm in, like, downtown Portland PDX and shit, like, I don't feel not welcomed. Like, what? These should hate poor white masculine white men. I'm so sick of that shit. Like, what, in downtown Portland? Like, half of downtown Portland is basically like poor white dudes. Like, wait, what? Especially with like the whole like white lumberjack aesthetic that like not just Portland but like like just Oregon in general kind of, it's about like what? I mean, there's probably just a generalized, like, disgust for homeless and just a lower class strata, period, because there's a lot of fucking upper class liberals and NBs, but that's not because of, like, poor white men or some shit. It's just because they don't like poor people in general mucking up their all bougie fucking nice proper neighborhoods and their HOAs and shit. It's a totally different reason. It even did. It's not just white people that get affected by that. They people like me. Yeah, and same with me, because I'm a part of the lower class, the poor working class strata. It's not just, the poor white folk that are affected by this shit. There's plenty of fucking, poor black folk, and especially in Northeast Portland and places like in Alberta and shit. Like, there's a lot of fucking poor working class black folk that get even more heavily impacted in Portland and shit. Like, I mean, there's a lot of fucking, like, I mean, historically, Portland, honestly, has been a very racist fucking town. I mean, it's like, it just is. That's just a fact. Like, a very, very white and a very, very segregated city for a long time. It's only been recently, as, that's been starting to legitimately kind of start diversifying and shit. I get hate you don't get. I'm a tall white guy too. I mean, I don't necessarily have a beard because I don't have the genetics like you do with that. But I'm a tall white guy. I mean, it's like I definitely, can be pretty intimidating in some factors, especially if I, have like the confidence, especially if I'm, kind of, flexing the attire I do, because I kind of look like a rural country boy looking motherfucker. Or at least in this case with this hat, like, some dude that's probably like an ANCAP revolutionary looking dude or some shit. Like, there's definitely misconceptions people can have of me, especially if I'm wearing this hat. But honestly, I get a lot of compliments wearing this hat. I mean, at least. But that's just me. But, I mean, it's just like, I don't know. I mean, it's like, I know everyone has different, fucking experiences and shit. And I know you do. So I'm not invalidating that, but it's just like, I mean, I know at least when it comes to being white and being a tall person like you are, and, you know, and at least, you know, in a lot of ways having kind of like this tall, like, you know, kind of like confidence when walking and kind of, you know, strutting around and shit like that. Seem to threaten their way of life. I mean, how? I mean, it's like, how would you be in a, you know, threat to someone's way of life? Outside of like a upper class neoliberal corporatist NIMBY type or centrist or a Republican. It's not that simple, dude. Well, obviously, it's a very nuanced type of thing. Hence, you know, we're having a discussion. It's a very nuanced type of topic. Are you a target because you get out and about more? Why would you be a target and not ignorant? Yeah, I mean, and also, considering where I work, I mean, I have a little bit more of a sense of a target, at least in certain aspects, because I have to put up a very specific demeanor. Like, I have to be all nice and, oh, hey, how you doing? You know, like, and if I don't have a certain demeanor, people have a very weird impression and shit. And even then, people will just be like, oh, fuck you anyway and shit, because sometimes people are just fucking assholes and Karens and shit, you know what I mean? And it's just like, and honestly, frankly, there are just going to be people out there who are just fucking assholes. And you know what? Fuck those people. Like, you know, it's just like, I get fucked if I ever see, like, by the cops, because you probably live far. Yeah, I've been fucked with the cops before. Not just because, you know, I've been around Harley and shit, but even on my own accordance and shit. Because I don't necessarily look like a very upper and prim, you know, like, trim cut type of motherfucker and shit. I look poor in a lot of ways. I mean, outside of certain things, like, again, maybe wearing this hat, and I guess wearing a, you know, fucking collared shirt with a bunch of pins on it, you know, like, outside of very certain specific, you know, aesthetics and shit, like, I mean, if I don't have those on, like, I have a more higher likely chance of, you know, being looked at by cops or looked at by other fucking people that happen to be of a upper socioeconomic condition and shit, because I'm just fucking poor. Because honestly, at the end of the day, the lower class and the poor strata, regardless if you're white, black, or otherwise and shit, are just going to be looked down on if you're fucking poor. Because, oh, you're poor, you're a peasant, somehow something went wrong in your life, so you're to blame. So fuck you, blah, 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 blah. Like, I mean, that's really fundamentally the case. And because you, Logan, and I, you know, are part of that poorer class strata, people look at us like that because we're poor, and poor people are looked down on. Like, Tennessee's making it fucking a felony to, like, you know, have a homeless camp, basically, so, because, oh yeah, that helps homeless people 100%. Because they look down on the poor, lower class strata. And it doesn't just obviously impact fucking, you know, homeless minorities and shit. That impacts homeless white people too. And there's been times where you have, obviously, and Harley has, and you're both white and shit. Let's say you lived in Tennessee when this law got enacted. You would have fucking felonies if the cops caught you. Because you'd all be in fucking prison for who knows how fucking long. Because this entire system is against the fucking working class and the poorer class and the lower strata. Period. And they'll use different social divides and social wedge issues and shit to keep people tribalized and fucking divided on different things and shit to keep people distracted on the root cause of the fucking problem. It's not my property. It is. It absolutely is. Like, it's the fact that, you know, because there, you know, is the working class poor strata and shit, and a lot of NIMBYs and a lot of centrists and a lot of the corporate establishment and the owner class look down on the fucking poors and look down on the working class. And they'll use anything and everything under the sun to keep those type of people divided. Period. And that includes different things like abortion rights, like what's going on right now, when it comes to things like feminism, when it comes to things like racial issues, when it comes to immigration. They use these issues to divide the working class and the poor strata. That, like, and guess who makes money off of that? The owner class. Every single fucking time. It's not a coincidence. It's all about money. It's all about profit. Like, these corporations wouldn't be fucking pandering and virtue signaling to the LGBT and shit if it didn't make them more fucking money at the end of the day, despite making business and doing, you know, like, contracts in countries that are vehemently homophobic and anti-LGBTQ, like in places like in China and shit. So it's just like, so far for that virtue signaling to the LGBT and the progressives and shit, they get to still make more money while they're investing in countries and shit that are fucking going against them and shit. So go fucking figure. It's never been about the fucking wokeness or the progressivism or anything like that. It's about the money. And whatever to keep the lower class strata divided on whatever fucking issue that, you know, they want to make the boogeyman this week, that's what they do. Whether it's a fucking politician, a social issue, or otherwise. I mean, it's just what it's been about. And every time, the top 1% continues to make the fucking money. It's always been about the money bags. It's not something I can relate to. But that's the problem. That's the difference, though. Like, this is something that anyone and everybody who's in a part of the lower class and the underclass relates to. If you're a part of the underclass, you absolutely relate to it. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you absolutely relate to the fucking thing that I'm talking about, because you're the same victim that I'm referring to here. Stop denying. I literally am not. Like, I didn't say that I wasn't invalidating it. If anything, I'm saying that that is used as a way to fucking keep the lower class and the poorer classes divided against each other. So hence, it enables this shit. I'm not denying it or invalidating it. Don't put words in my mouth, bro. Like, I'm not invalidating it. I'm looking at the more core root of the issue when it comes to the whole system. Because this is what it continues to incite and agree with and continue to push. Because at the end of the day, they want more people impoverished so the owner class can continue to have the maximization of the wealth and the fucking power so they can have more influence against people like us. That's always what's been about. And they will use anything, everything, including shit like that you're talking about, against us. I'm not trying to deny or invalidate it. I'm saying why it's such a thing that continues to be a reciprocal fucking cycle as to why this shit happens. In this blue bubble. I mean, it's more... Oops, caps. Yeah, I mean, I kind of assumed that was caps. But, I mean, it's not really necessarily a blue bubble. It's just a very hyper neoliberal capitalist fucking bubble and shit. And honestly, I mean, at least from, you know, what it looks like, especially at least in the greater Portland metro area and like my area, that's being challenged. And it just needs to have more direct action, whether it's via the workplace, via labor action and union action, or otherwise. I mean, this type of thing, needs to continue to be pushed against to challenge the system. Because at the end of the day, the working class and the lower class and the poor's and shit, you know, whether they're white males or otherwise, you know, and shit, you know, like, you know, black, yellow, anything in between, you know, are going to be fucked from this shit. And, you know, it takes, you know, understanding, you know, like, hey, you know, we all have to work together to fucking bump up against the system. Because if not, we're just going to eat each other alive. And at the end of the day, fucking, you know, the fucking, you know, the true antagonists are always going to run away with the most amount of fucking money bags each and every time. And it's like, when's going to be the point where we stop letting them win? And I think, you know, honestly, especially considering how labor action and unionization is becoming more and more of a thing as of late, in the past year at least, I mean, I'm thinking that that trend is going to soonly change. I mean, legitimately. PST and PCC experience exclusion just because of my rank, sexuality was excluded, sociology class, plain poor white man. Yeah, well, the thing is, because especially when it comes to a lot of like the mass, like aristocracy of Europe, and especially with a lot of the kingdoms that did a lot of mass colonization, that was the white aristocracy and the white royal class. I mean, they're not saying all white people. They're talking about the royal aristocratic type of fucking white class that was in charge of doing a lot of colonialization. They're not saying all white people. And I've been to PCC, and yeah, like, I mean, while there was a lot of, you know, type of progressive, quote, woke, diversity type of stuff, I didn't feel excluded. If anything, I was kind of welcomed into it. It's just like, hey, check out our stuff. You know, like, whenever I saw it out and about on the campuses and shit like that, I would be curious and check it out, and if anything, they'd be, you know, wanting me to check it out. So, I mean, it's just like, I mean, when it comes to it, I mean, it's like, I don't know. I mean, it's like, I obviously have a personally different experience from it. Because you're bi. It has nothing to do with me being bisexual. Like, none of these people knew I was bi. They just saw a white guy. They just saw a white dude and just like, hey, what's up? You look curious about our stuff. Would you like to know about it? Like, that was pretty much just how they were. They didn't know anything about my sexuality whatsoever. Like, sexuality comes to play when they, you know, have, like, when they have a discussion about it, and it never ever came up. It was just like, hey, there's like some cool art, or there's like some cool like clothing, you know, stuff here that they're presenting or displaying or some shit. It was like some random stuff like that. Like, or some pottery work or whatever the fuck. It was just different shit. And it's just like, sexuality literally never came up whatsoever. Like, no, none of these people, like, when I, you know, was curious about any of these different little, like, you know, like, more, you know, inclusive, diversity type of, like, you know, safe spaces for, like, you know, whatever the fuck, like, you know, different black people in their cultures, or, like, you know, Asian people in their cultures and shit, and having, like, different displays on the campus and stuff. If anything, they were pretty welcoming of just whoever the fuck just showed up and was just curious about it. And it's just, sexuality had nothing to do with it. I think part is I'm very anti-nationalistic, and I thus base my identity of being a white man, or insert irrelevant trait here. I don't see criticism of wealthy white people as a personal attack. I don't either. Like, I don't care if people are, like, quote, anti-white, because generally, when it comes to people who describe themselves that, they're talking about the white owner class and aristocracy that have basically, like, owned a lot of the global system for pretty much since, like, the 1600s and beyond. So it's just like, I mean, I can understand why, you know, there is that type of view. I don't necessarily take it as a personal attack, because I don't, like, being white is something I literally could not give a fuck about. And once I have to use those really soon, because it's why I was straight. Like, was it really because of that? Because they were gay or woman or ethnic? Like, was it really because of that, or was it because of maybe socioeconomic conditions, or maybe scholarships? Just shouldn't be excluding people. Yeah, and honestly, if that was truly the case, then yeah, they shouldn't be excluding people. But, like, I mean, because earlier was forced because of my race. I mean, it's just like, I mean, just because there's a little bit more inclusivity for other races and shit, I just don't necessarily see that as inherently, like, you know, like, exclusive towards white people and shit. But, you know, when there is legitimate cases of that, it's stupid and fucked up. Because, like, again, at the end of the day, you know, it's always, you know, it's like what I was saying earlier. It's about, you know, trying to keep people divided against each other so the fucking owner class, you know, can continue to maximize their fucking profits and influence against people like us. Us just being the poor people in lower class strata and the basically top, you know, the bottom 90%. Massive denial. How am I in denial? not holding everyone else down. I mean, how, like, I mean, really, honestly, I'm trying to find out, like, where the specifics of this type of shit is, because, like, because honestly, I'm trying to figure out where this idea that, like, literally, because you're just straight and white, like, literally everything in the world is against you because of this shit. Because you know, because really, realistically, it honestly isn't just because of that shit. Like, that's just one of the different nuanced variables that has, you know, become a part of the play that the entire owner class uses against the poorer class and the underclass. Like, I mean, it's not the only thing that's used against you. If anything, that's just one of the many fucking variables. You even stated, the people who are game playing this time had wealthy NIMBY fuck parents who were paid off to coach. Yeah. Even though I'm a Democrat. Yeah, because they're taking because they're honestly, realistically, they're just using the whole arbitrary bullshit that you're white as a way to fucking win you over to their side. Because people like Jordan Peterson, for example, and like these fucking others, like, you know, Ben Shapiro and all these other fucking, like, people who claim to not be, like, overtly, like, conservative, whatever the fuck, you know, try to, you know, put people more into this type of side and shit. It's fine by me, but I hate it. A white America, so having an ethno state is okay with you? Like, a white America is disgusting to me. Fuck that. I want to have a very major, inclusive, diverse America. Like, America was literally built on diversity. Like, I don't, like, ugh, a white America is, like, I want to destroy that. Like, that is not fine by me, dude. Like, that's why, you know, like, a lot of Trumpers seem to really be okay, because if you're okay with a white America, then you're okay with a lot of their fucking white supremacist, ethno-statist type of philosophy, dude. I mean, that's kind of a, like, bro. Whoa. White America's views, then you couldn't be fine with it. Like, I mean, because what they fundamentally are about is basically not just the subjugation, but the oppression of basically everything that's pretty much not white or non-traditional, whatever the fuck that means in their mind. Despite them, you know, being fundamentally, like, you know, massively degenerate and pedophilic, you know, really into a lot of crazy kinks, even though I'm not really okay with, even though I'm okay with that. I don't care if they're into kinks and shit. But they use a lot of their sexual insecurity, a lot of the insecurity about their own identity, you know, and their sexuality and shit, you know, to basically just subjugate, you know, all these other different people like minorities and shit. You're Mr. Alright. I mean, understandable. Like, I mean, I know that text can be, you know, like, removal of, you know, a lot of different nuance and shit, so just try to elaborate, you know, because, yeah, I mean, especially if text, it can probably be taken out of context. I don't want to take you out of context, obviously. I mean, you're my bro, you know, I don't want to do that. What are you doing, bro? Hey! Then the other America does dominate here in Portland. I mean, there's just like so many different like elements and aspects about America. Like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess I know what you mean by that, but like, there's so many different like other Americas that, I mean, it's kind of hard to quantify that a little bit. No mind fun politically. Well, I mean, I guess it's just like, I mean, I don't know if it's just because, I mean, it's just how they approach you with it, or anything, or something like that, but maybe I should try to show you a video or two, because, honestly, there's a few videos that discuss this whole, like, kind of anti-white thing that you're kind of talking about, and actually putting some nuance to it, and putting, like, you know, perspective to it that isn't, like, immediately turn-off-ish. Actually, you know, let me try to find one of, because I know Hassan Piker. He's a Twitch streamer that's socialist himself. That made a video about this not too long ago. Actually, I gotta go to the bathroom really quick too. So I want to try to find it, and but before I do, I'm gonna play a little tune really quick, just so I can at least go to the bathroom. But here, I'll at least bump it up a little bit. I'll be right back. Whoa. Oh, you're just so excited to go run around in circles right now. Bro. Here, take your bone. Take your little bone time. As you look conservative, you look nothing like generic right-wingers like the Proud Boys. Well, yeah, Logan? Yeah, you don't look nothing like a conservative. If anything, you look like just kind of a typical, like, Portlandian dude bro, if anything. And, like, one of them, lol. Well, I mean, I don't know why they do, but, ugh. They need to, like, kind of back the fuck off. Like, honestly, if there was, like, some weird hardcore Proud Boy type motherfuckers, like, I'm actually strangely wondering if one of my coworkers might be, honestly. Because he had, like, literally a whole Trump card because he donated to his campaign in 2020 and shit like that. And I'm like, oh, God. You know, so honestly, there was just, like, I mean, I kind of have a long road to hoe, like I said, you know, from earlier in the stream about him a little bit. Because honestly, it's like, he's, you know, about, you know, a couple years older than me, and it's just like, I mean, at least because, you know, we're co-workers, I feel like, you know, him and I can at least, you know, have a legit, like, conversation, have a back and forth. With you over 2 years later. I know, dude. I saw that and I was like, I honestly, a part of me, on the surface, like, oh, okay, cool, I guess. But internally, I was like, I'm sorry, bro, but that's cringe, man. I wouldn't, like, even if I was, like, for some reason a Biden supporter, even I would not fucking do that shit. The anti-Proud Boys will just assume my right-wing stream. Well, obviously, I know I would be an exception to the rule, but I am, and I don't think you are. But honestly, like, I get the anti-white anger. Well, I don't know, like, I mean, I would just, like, I mean, honestly, I just want to take it so much as a personal attack, but also, like, when it comes to, you know, people that, you know, have this type of energy, just, like, I don't know, like, be like, hey, why do you think I'm a part of this type of thing? Like, you know, like, what can I do, you know, in a sense, you know, like, in a way, you know, like, not, like, literally, like, oh, please, what can I do, whatever the fuck, just be like, you know, like, what the fuck, you know, just, like, have a conversation, basically. Maybe 80 seconds different than the West Side, a lot of the activists here are white men. Yeah, like, I mean, I remembered a lot of the protests I went to, and a lot of people tend to be white, and if they weren't, they were either black or Hispanic. But it was pretty mixed. I mean, I don't know. And honestly, frankly, there was a lot of people who were, like, veterans, you know, people that kind of look similar to, like you a little bit, Logan. I mean, there's a lot of different people, so, I mean, I don't know. I just don't get, like, the same thing, you know, that you're referring to, because obviously I have a different experience. I'm obviously just a different person, but it's just like when it comes to, like, my own personal identity, when it comes to me being bisexual or white or any of these things, it's just who I am. I literally could not give a fuck. It's just whatever. Like, I can't do anything about it. It's just who I am. So what? I'm a white bi guy. Like, okay. I mean, it'd be the same thing if I was a white straight guy or a white gay guy. Like, okay, I just am. Alright. You know, like, whatever. It's really some shit I can't change. Like, there's, you know, some other aspects and elements I could, but, you know, I suppose if I wanted to, but when it comes to that at the end of the day, that's just who I am. Alright, whatever. Okay. Baby, look at you. You're so cute. Oh, here. I finally actually found that video I was talking about here, I think. Both the far left and far right. Well, like, I mean, the city hasn't even really fallen to the far left, though. Like, I mean, there isn't really that much of a far left outside of, like, the BLM protests and shit like that. I mean, the closest to the far left the city has is Joanne Hardesty, and the closest she ever really was able to get was, like, some transportation bill or something like that. I mean, considering how much of an outlier she really is. Across the bridges in North and out of Portland. Yeah, because that's a lot of the fucking corporatism and the liberalism of, you know, like, just of our current system. I mean, a lot of, like, the BBB is about that type of shit. So it has to have a left-wing majority on council in a long-ass time. Yeah. I mean, I honestly remember there was a period of time in Portland, I think during, like, prior to the Great Depression or around that time, that fucking Portland actually has some pretty socialistic and leftist, you know, type of people in its government. But obviously, that was a long fucking time ago. The tolls are a state project, not city. Yeah, again, that's also, that's a city project. That's a state project, not a city. And either way, it's stupid. And I don't think, honestly, anyone really actually agrees with that. Tolls are probably going to come across most cities also, at least in the West and the East Coast. Yeah, because I think a lot of the Build Back Better was basically just a handout to fucking construction companies to essentially do shit like that. So it ain't just Portland that's gonna have that shit. Thought all white people owned slaves. Not literally all white people, but like all white land owning aristocrat, wealthy, fucking white people did. Like a lot of the fucking aristocratic white landowners in the South, they did. So, black guys mind was blown. Well, cause there's like not literally every. Like, honestly, if I was to take my fucking, like, genealogy, like, I at least know from my dad's side, it definitely isn't anywhere close to fucking the South at all. But on my mom's side, it is. So, honestly, I guarantee you probably somewhere on my mom's side. Well, honestly, considering what I do know, probably not. Because a lot of my mom's side, from what I do know, was kind of more like the lower strata working class kind of vibe, from what I've, been able to know from that type of shit. So, probably not, but there still is the likelihood that maybe some of my family relatives on my mom's side probably fought for the Confederacy, though. I don't know that for a fact, but there probably is a chance. I know on my dad's side there is for the North, for the Union. For the 26th Iowa Volunteers Infantry Regiment. So, at least on my father's side, for Charles Dawes, he was an officer for that regiment, and yeah, there was actually legitimately a lot of victories within that regiment and shit when I looked up about them. Partaking in a lot of different battles, from like Antietam to a few other places, so honestly, some cool badass type of history and shit. Be like, kind of fuck yeah about. Kill some fucking slave yokel motherfuckers. It's slave owning motherfuckers and shit. That's pretty dope. Our ancestors didn't do well. Honestly, I mean, it should be more about, like, who gives a fuck, like, what happened in the past. Like, let's just use that knowledge to just make the day, the present and the future better. Like, really, that's what it should be about. It's like, because honestly, like, when it comes down to it, yeah, like, if I do kind of find out, like, maybe there was, like, some slave owners in my family's genealogy on my mom's side, or some of them fought for the Confederacy, it's like, yeah, that's a little shitty and kind of fucked. But, you know what, whatever. Like, especially with my ideas and principles and shit, like, I already know that, like, I, denounce that type of shit, and I'd rather fucking, fight to have a, world that's obviously fundamentally better than what they were fucking fighting for. So. It's indentured servants. I mean, not 100%. I mean, a lot of those people were indentured servants to a lot of the white aristocratic owners and shit as well. I mean, there was also the Irish and the Italians too, but, I mean, they were essentially lumped in with the rest of them and shit, because when it came down to being white, like, especially back in the day, that wasn't really a fucking thing. Like, honestly, because white is not a thing. It's just, like, because Europe doesn't see themselves as white. Like, the only place in the world that really truly sees themselves as, like, white people is America. Like, a lot of Europe sees themselves as either French, Polish, German, or whatever fucking country they're from, really. Whatever that country's, like, majority ethnic background tends to be. They see themselves as that, not white. Like, that's really mostly an American thing. That's an American construct, not a real one. Like, it's just, like, it's all just bullshit. Like, realistically, if I was back in, like, the 1890s, I'd be in indentured servitude because I'm a fucking Irish, I'm quarter Irish. But, back, today, I'm an Aryan white boy because, well, I look German and Nordic enough. Because I'm majority Anglo-Saxon and got a little bit of Nord in me. With Norwegian, so it's like I fit enough in today's idea of what that is, but back in the day, that wouldn't fucking matter. And it also didn't matter for a lot of white people who also happened to be mixed black either when it came to segregation and shit. Like, I remember this one Supreme Court case where there was, it was Mississippi on the legalization or illegality of interracial marriage. Because there was a white guy who was 1/8 black. And he actually came from a man who was in an interracial marriage who actually formed the Free State of Jones, which was Jones County, Mississippi. And he basically took a lot of poor class white folk in the South and black freed slaves and a lot of different Protestant Christians in the local region and essentially formed their own like rebellion against the rebellion. And there was actually a lot of different folks in a lot of different areas throughout the South that were actually doing similar shit like this. And they were known as Southern Unionists or Union Loyalists and shit like that. They had different names, but really just the catch-all is they were Southern Unionists. They were basically fighting for the North, but not officially a part of the North, really. So, you know, and this man, I forgot his name, actually, right off the top of my head, but there's actually a recent movie that stars Matthew McConaughey, I know this much, called The Free State of Jones, that actually goes into detail about it. And then near the end of the film, it goes into the case that I'm talking about. And this, really, on the face of it, a white man, you know, is wanting to have a marriage with this other white woman, but because he's 1/8 black, and they were able to trace that genealogy to this great-great-grandfather from the Civil War that had an interracial marriage with a freed slave black woman, you know, and having this genealogy, he was basically fucking subjugated and fucking unable to have his marriage in prison because he was a black man under Mississippi law, despite basically really just on the surface of it just being a white guy. So it's like this whole definition of white is just bullshit. It doesn't mean anything. A lot of mixed blacks are Irish. I'm sure. I mean, honestly, I'm sure there are. I mean, there's a lot of interracial marriages that happen throughout the United States despite them not legally being recognized. Because the United States for a long time did not recognize that type of shit. In fact, there's Republicans today that want to fucking bring back the illegality of that shit. Which these days is just backwards insane. It's like, good luck fucking stopping that shit, you psychopathic fascist fucks. It's like, good lord. Keegan is black Irish? Yeah. Because honestly, they're probably because, you know, at some point, you know, Keegan's ancestors had some black, you know, maybe not, like, you know, some slaves that were freed eventually, but also had a similar community nearby that was probably indentured Irish who were working similar jobs during at some point and eventually intermingled. Which, that's, like, basically the history of America 101 right there. Like, honestly, like, I want to get the book, but I have seen a lot of snippets of it, but People's History of America by Howard Zinn is honestly, like, it goes into a lot of shit like this, where it talks about, like, America's history, but not from the, you know, polished view of how, you know, America is taught to us in school, but actually through, like, the lower class and, like, the common folk and, you know, the general how people were. And honestly, America is full of not just like vice and sin, but a lot of very, you know, massive progressive like into like inclusion, diversity, and a lot of like interrelations amongst cultures and interblending, like all sorts of shit. Like America's just built off of it. And yet, like, you know, especially not just, you know, as a society and a system, it's just like fundamentally like in denial of it. And it's like, shouldn't we be like like honestly, like especially when it comes to the idea of making America great, shouldn't it be embracing that? Shouldn't it be embracing all that shit? Because if anything, especially if it's built off of it, I mean, especially considering these days, I mean, we might as well just embrace it. Because, I mean, because straight up, like, a lot of, like, the railroads that were built in this country weren't just by, you know, the common white folk and shit, but a lot of immigrants, whether they're Hispanic, Asian, black, you know, whoever the fuck, I mean, a lot of the fucking things that were built off of this country were built off of a lot of these type of people, whether they were recently freed slave type of people or just the lower common white, working strata that, migrated here, or whether they were Hispanic or Asian immigrants. All of that shit was, what built it. But, like we were talking about from earlier, there always seems to be, a few major players that seem to make all the money off of all that shit. And it's honestly, especially these days, never been more true, though. Native American genealogy. Yeah. Which, I mean, honestly, especially when it comes to Native Americans, how they view about, like, white America, in a sense. I mean, to kind of get into that a little bit again, I could definitely kind of see it, because, I mean, look how America, or at least the United States government specifically treated them. It's just like, Jesus Christ. I mean, especially when it comes to the concept of reparations, if there is any ethnic group that deserves it, I mean, it really honestly is them. Like, honestly, like, Jesus Christ. Like, how many tribes have we literally wiped off the map and just don't exist anymore? And how many are hanging on by fucking threads? This is... Hey! Jesus, bro! Chill! Shut up! Hey! Goddamn, bro! Shut up! But anyway, but like I was saying, but at least for me, it's why I have like such immense respect for a lot of Native Americans and their culture and shit. Because, I mean, it's not a monolith, obviously, and honestly, there's a lot of diverse elements, for, like, what, like, different native tribes, had culturally or what they believed in shit. So, I mean, it's just like, what is still available, honestly, especially for me, I kind of like to, find out what it is and just kind of, delve into it a little bit. I have a couple books about, like, Native American culture and lore and shit like that. Just because, not just on sheer curiosity, but, like, there is especially a lot about Native American philosophy and their general, like, anarcho-primitivist worldviews that I, especially at least in my more am-prim ideas, honestly, I adopt a lot from a lot of Native American philosophy. Like, the whole idea of, like, thinking 7 generations ahead, and shit like that. I mean, even when it comes to, like, gender and shit, they were, like, a little bit more, a few steps ahead, because they had, like, 3 and 4 different genders depending on the tribe, because some would have things like Two-Spirit and shit like that. So it's just, like, even they, like, in a lot of ways, understood that, like, hey, there's a lot of different, elements about us as a people, and, we all play, that kind of part. It's almost like it's each according to the ability and each according to their need type of thing. That's what I'm going. I mean, the thing is, you do though. I mean, you have a friend group of at least like what, 4 or 5. I mean, you at least have like a core friend group that's, it's like, I mean, you do though. I mean, it's like, it's not like, you're not, like, by any means, like, you still are. They're going, but you're not getting inspectors. Yeah. They need more federally recognized tribes. Yeah. At least, to some extent, even if it's not necessarily by borders, having at least, more of a stronger, autonomy where maybe honestly there's like, some federal budget set aside to where it strictly goes into like, a First Nations autonomous type of state. So these tribes actually have, like, some legitimate funding and, some proper, care to themselves where, they did get the same type of, resources and shit that we do. But, they still hold their autonomy and actually, if anything, can expand on that type of stuff. So, it's just like, I mean, if anything, like, there should just be, like, kind of a recognition of, like, the First Nations, which includes all, a lot of the indigenous Native American tribes. Logan, we need to do beach camping with Fignar and Co this summer. Yeah, dude. Yeah, like earlier before you showed up, Logan, we were talking about that. If we do go camping near Lincoln City, I am, wanting to at least, say this ahead of time. I want to go to Chinook Casino. Mainly for the roulette tables. And blackjack, maybe. But outside of that, if we aren't near there, doesn't matter. But if we are near Lincoln City, I do request that. You could literally drop me off and just, like, fuck off anywhere else as far as I'm concerned. You could just, like, pick me up later at the evening or some shit. Like, it wouldn't matter. Like, you all can do whatever. Just let me have some roulette and blackjack time. But that's if we happen to be near Lincoln City, if we happen to do a beach camping trip. Oh, actually, it kind of reminds me. Logan, are you free Wednesday? Are you able to confirm free time that day? Because spare mags to confirm for Wednesday, so. But yeah. So beach trips and Wednesday. I'm actually hoping I can get one of my coworkers to come along. One of my other coworkers that I haven't referenced. I have a lot of coworkers I can reference. Oh, recommended a silver rice version with cider on. Okay, I gotta hear this one. What?
On the march, this could go on 10, 15 minutes as long as... I even heard a verse there. Come all you people worried about Bap, a day on Route 80 will take care of that.
You know, that funny modification of a verse that I think I wrote. And
did you start that verse off?
Yeah, some verses that I wrote for Which Side Are You On? And Cordell and I sang this all over Mississippi, and I asked a kid that I heard do that, one of the kids on the march, where did he get that verse? And he said, I don't know, I heard it somewhere, I don't know where it came from.
I heard somewhere, I don't know where it came from.
Black men, with all your excess fat, a few days in the county jail will sure get rid of that. Won't you tell me now, which side are you on?
Ooh. These days, I feel like that'd be a call out to people like Kamala and Obama. I've never heard this version before, and damn, I like it.
Come all you Uncle Toms, take that hanky from your head. Forget your fears and shed a tear for the life of shame you've led. And then tell me.
And up for casino? Oh shit, you're actually up for a casino? I know Stefan isn't as much into it, but I'll say FK. Got food. Oh. I was mainly saying for, I didn't know you were AFK, but, because I got, my spare mags and shit, for Wednesday, I was wondering if you're, actually free that day at all. Did you ask me? Yes. Wednesday, are you free? And outside of that, when it comes to the camping trip for, like, the beach later in the summer, I'm just saying, if we happen to be near Lincoln City, then you know, I would definitely be down for the casino. And since you happen to, then you and I could definitely go. So, McFood sponsored by a channel sponsor McDonald's. True. Lol, Stefano.
But don't forget your old grandma, she's still
Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Have you heard about the paddywhack? It's the red light sky. If you stand up for your right, he'll take you for a ride. Everybody knows.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on? I love how there's at least like 1,000 different fucking versions of this. His work schedule's too difficult to work with. He would only be available to do one night. Oh man, can we just all admit that Tyler needs to quit being a bitch about his fucking sleep schedule? Can we just all admit this? Like, Metal T is a bitch with his fucking sleeping shit, dude. He needs to just, like, get over it. Like, how many times have I, like, drank, not just a little bit, but sometimes excessively on a work night, and would be doing this shit until, like, fucking 4 in the morning? Like, I mean, come on now. I mean, there's times where I've straight up, like, fucking, like, done some... I've done all-nighters when I've drank and gone to work and shit. Like, I mean... What? You telling me this, you know, this son of a bitch can't fucking, like, do that every now and then, occasionally? Like, God, man, it's like, man, he needs to just, like, man the fuck up a little bit. Like, I get it, like, you don't want to, like, you know, break a routine, but, like, every now and then you can, like, you know, slip out of it a little bit. It's like, it's not gonna be the end of the goddamn world if you happen to be late, like, 30 minutes one day. Like, oh no. It's just like, man, dude, he needs to just, like, seriously get a grip. I'm not gonna go on a massive rant like I did the last time I was, you know, getting into this, but, like, Because honestly, the first time I did, like, it ended up going into, like, him going, like, explosive and very intense about certain topics, and it's just like, you know, I don't need to get down that rabbit hole again. I already did that once recently. Sukov, what are you doing? Get over here, boy. What are you doing? Yes, yes. You should do more work. Do that next day. Well, I have tomorrow and Wednesday off, so Tuesday I was gonna, you know, visit my mama and do shit here. Like, that was pretty much gonna be my Tuesday day. And Wednesday was gonna be my break in my firearm and have fun day. So, you know, so if you're doing anything Tuesday, we can talk more about, you know, Wednesday and shit. Because I was also at least, you know, like when I was gonna at least try to hit up one of my coworkers about it who's working tomorrow, but is off Wednesday, so I want to confirm with him, see if he's available, or if he's willing to do it at least. And then, because if he does, he has a firearm or two that he'll probably bring along with. So, you know, if he does, then that'll make the trip even more worth it, because, I mean, I don't really got that much for my new firearm. I only have enough to basically, you know, do the 100 firearm break-in, you know, shit. And it's just like, well, a little more than that. So, but it's not even like we ask him to lose much sleep. We get him home like an hour or two before his normal hour. Yeah, I'm honestly for real though, dude. Seriously. Even if it's like a bar night and he happens to be like, you know, the same thing, but a little drunk. It's like, eat some bread, drink some water, and take a melatonin before you go to bed then, dude. Like, seriously, like, improvise, adapt, overcome, bro. Like, goddamn. Like, he's all about that type of shit, so fucking, like, do it a little bit, bro. Like, seriously. I know, like, I mean, his work isn't that far away from his house like mine. I mean, yeah, his is a little farther away than mine is, but still, it's like, dude, you can, it's like, fucking figure it out, man. It's like if we all can, if like people like Harley and I can, then you can. Especially if it's this far out that we're planning this, you can make the fucking days off. Just tell your work about it. Like, hey, during this week, I'm gonna plan on doing this little camping trip, you know, so can you, you know, do some vacation time for me that week? Boom, there you go. Especially this far ahead, I guarantee you they'll be able to work it out. Like, sir, like... It was Wednesday right now, lol. You thought it was Wednesday? No, it's technically Tuesday. I mean, I'm still thinking it's Monday because I don't think it's Tuesday until I wake up. So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's still Monday in my mind. So, like, yeah, it's technically Tuesday, you know, so when I wake up, I'm gonna, you know, visit my mom, and after that, you know, do some shit around here a little bit. Just kind of tidy up a little more. I won't be able to necessarily get to all sorts of deep clean type of shit, but I can at least, you know, sweep up, you know, try to clean up a little more and stuff like that. Try to organize some stuff a little bit at least, you know, so when more deep clean shit gets around, it's a little easier to manage with shit. So try to at least, you know, try to get some of that type of stuff, you know, even if it's not like 100% shit. So card people, my mom is a card casino person. I do like blackjack, so if you know a little bit about blackjack and shit, you know, you and I should hit a blackjack table if we go to Lincoln City, or at least go near there for a camping trip. Because I definitely want to try my hand at roulette, because I could teach you some tricks about that. Because honestly, when it comes to gambling, roulette, realistically and mathematically, is honestly the best odds that you can work with when it comes to the house. So, honestly, it's just like, you know, I mean, I could get you a few tricks. You don't want to do it, I guess, too often, because the house would be like, hey, fuck you, and probably, you know, kick you out a little bit. So, I mean, depending on how strict they are, I guess. I mean, some of them will look at you and be like, I think you're, you know, kind of abusing the system here a little bit there, bucko. Here, get a little mix going.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
It's kind of a polka version of it. I like it. All you good workers, good news to you I'll tell of how the good old Union has come in here to dwell.
My daddy was a miner, and I'm a miner's son, and I'll stick with the Union till
Every battle's won.
which side are you on?
Come here, buddy. Come here. Don't sit there. Come here. Come here, Bye-Bye Sukov. No! Come here, you asshole. Come here. Fuck you. He literally, like, took 2 steps back and just laid down and plopped. Prick. You don't want to be held and be a lapdog, you jackass? It's like, when I want to have him as a lapdog, he doesn't want to do it. But when I don't want him to, he pesters me to shit to lapdog him. We don't connect on this yet, I guess. Get the fuck over here! Get over here! Come on! Oh, no, come on! Come on! No, get over here. Suka, no, oh my god, come here! Come here! Wait, what? I was thinking Long Beach could be an option also. Tide matters less there. True. We gotta go in and tide is good, or we need to reserve a spot off of Beverly Beach campgrounds between Lake City, Camp Beach. We could get a campsite or a yurt. Dude, I slept inside of a yurt once, and it's pretty legit. My grandpa counts cars and gets kicked out after making 10 grand. Yeah, that's why you want to be a little careful if you know how to play the system. Because honestly, if there's people who are just good, even though they're not necessarily counting cards and shit like that, they'll just think you are because you're just that good and be like, alright, fuck you. The house is supposed to win, not you, asshole. You know, so it's just like, I mean, sometimes, even if you're not, like, if you're just that good, I mean, and make, you know, a good amount of change and shit, yeah, I mean, you know, so, you want to at least have a few L's to, you know, even if you are that good, to make them kind of think you're not. Who like that because his child is spot. Does Harley happen to be free Wednesday? I mean, I'm sure he's probably working, so I'm guessing not. But if so, I'm just wondering. I'm trying to think of at least like a backup person to have just in case my coworker doesn't come through on Wednesday. I have his number, so I can also, you know, ensure that, you know, I can follow through with him either way, but either way. Ah, what the hell? Oh, there we go. Just less to do in colder weather at Long Beach. Ow, whatever. I mean, you know me, I can, by that point, you know, I can, obviously I know Stefan doesn't give a fuck, but, you know, if you and I want, we could find a little spot maybe somewhere, especially if it's on the beach, set up like a little range for ourselves and, you know, have a little fun. I mean, just considering what I have, like if we're going camping, especially if it happens to be away from people, like, I mean, we have the options and availability for stuff like that. Or at least for the people who would be inclined for such things. And for the people who aren't, they can head to camp and, you know, just make sure all shit's good there. There you go. I mean, you know, it's not necessarily, or, you know, just do whatever else. I mean, you know, so either way. We just need to check tide charts before land. Yeah. I mean, just like weather, I mean, that, you know, is also probably susceptible to change, you know, given, you know, who knows what. Well, probably not as much, because tides are tied with the moon, so, I mean, unless the moon is doing some weird shit, like, I'm pretty sure that, you know, it's not really gonna change that much. This is Harley's favorite song. He bids anyone for their proper fee. Actually, Harley hates it. For the soldier's work, he said, isn't this great? We can attack our enemies and we'll retaliate. Yes, Henry Ford was a fascist and a liar too. A brown shirt with a swastika draped in red, white, and blue. He sported to his workers and he said, you dare not strike. You must be patriotic and check out my Third Reich. And Henry Ford was a fascist and he did not care about the dying soldiers that made him a millionaire. He always tells me, he's like, hey, only I can do that. I'm the one with the Ford. And it's like, fuck you. I'm the worker. People like me were exploited by his ass, so shove it. Built the tanks and the Nazis, and he built many more who gunned down monsters and some peasants in Peru and Salvador. Yes, Henry Ford was a fascist, and when he died, the Hitler said leave his lips was a McFly. And on whichever shore, and Henry's only motto was make money and make more. Yes, Henry Ford was a fascist. That's all I have to say. I will spit on Henry's rotten grave until my dying day. That's why he hates it. Ford was a fascist, and that's all I have to say. I will spit on Henry's rotten grave until my dying day. And I actually would. Not just that, but probably piss on it too. So what is this? Beverly Beach Park. We could do that at Beverly Beach and check out Lincoln City casinos. Hey! Alright. Cool. Turn this down a little bit. There. Even with the tight charts, campground at Beverly is off the beach a quarter mile. Sweet. Ah! Oh, stop doing that. There we go. YouTube being dumb. Boo.
There was no way to feed a family when the mining day was done. The strike had lasted for a year when they shot down Smiling Sid. He was a lawman who stood up for us miners. That's the only crime he ever did. 100 miners locked up with no trial. They're in Mingo Town, but the last straw came in Sharples when they gunned the women down.
I know camping right on the beach is pretty lit that one time. That'd be pretty lit. It just depending on how, like, you know, the beach patrols are. I mean, like, if it's an area that they don't really patrol, then we could definitely get away with it. And honestly, right on the beach would be pretty legit, honestly. I've done that a few times, like, even though there's been times where, obviously, I would have, like, what the fuck, Metal T's here? Yo, what the hell? Yo, what in the fuck, Metal T's just out of nowhere just flexing his muscle? What, dude, why, like, pretty much, like, the whole group is just, like, besides, like, Harley, like, pretty much everyone's here, what the hell? Yep. Dude, like, pretty much Harley's missing, that's it. But obviously he doesn't really partake in these, so that's understandable. But what the hell? Shim LT at 2:30, up early for work. Yeah, what the fuck? Yeah, wait, do you work? What? Yeah, what the? I honestly am kind of a little surprised you're here right now. I'm out of alcohol, so I'm just kind of flying on me being high as fuck, so. I wish there were free Wednesday, because that's the day I'm gonna break in my new firearm. I got my new magazines and shit. So, these are Bulgarian polymer fucking steel lines, and honestly these are way better than the one that the magazine that came with my firearm. These are so much better. They're honestly a little stiff. I need, you know, they don't really release as well. I have to, like, kind of like push it, or, you know, a little bit. So basically I just need to fucking, like, kind of trim down these little teeth right here. I just need to trim those down a little. It's polymer, so all I have to take is, like, a little sharp thing and just... Tyler showed up. I know, like, he doesn't work tomorrow, so hey, that explains it. I remember one time he showed up not too long ago, I think like a week ago. I was like, yo, show up more often, and yay, well, you know. I'm back from Testament, Exodus, and Death Angel, among other fun things. Wait, Death Angel was touring and... Dude, are you serious, man? Oh, you did not just say that to me. You did not just say that. You did not just say that. You did not just say that. You just did not say that to me. You did not just say that to me. Oh, dude. Oh my god. Why didn't anyone tell me? I love Testament and Death Angel. Dude, what the fuck? I literally did not know about this. I thought it worked. I did, but honestly, I literally would fucking, like, make sure I had the day off for that. Ah! Oh, man! The group chat a while ago. You did? I must have missed it. Ah, dude. I must have missed it, because I don't remember it. I learned about it last minute. Ah... Damn, I'm bummed. You bastard. I mean, when I saw Death Angel, it was just by myself, so, I mean, you know, like... I saw them already, you know, so I'm not like that too bummed about it, but I haven't seen Testament. I want to see him live. Like, oh, dude, I bet that shit was fucking killer, dude. That's a fucking combo of Exodus, too. I haven't listened to him that much, but when I have listened to Exodus, like, oh. Dude, that's a fucking show, man. Oh, you fucking asshole. Oh. Yeah, my spot on hook point. Says camp so no one bother you. Sweet. Well, until there's boomsticks involved, I'm sure people will probably bother you then. The toxic waltz. Oh. Fuck. Man, if I... Oh, dude. I'm gonna have a fucking... Like, when I go, talk to my coworker tomorrow and shit, dude, oh man, he's gonna have a fucking day about that. He's gonna have a fun time hearing that. It's like, man, you wouldn't know what I just learned that my fucking friend went to that I wish I could have went to yesterday, man. It's gonna be like, what was it? It's like, Testament, Death Angel, Exodus, bro. Fucking, like, the combo metal fucking show, dude. I didn't know about it. Ugh. Way too close to the town. I mean, it's rural country and shit. Like, I mean, like, realistically, how many people from, like that little place probably take their little shotguns and rifles out in, like, the little hillsides and mountainsides outside of that town and do that? I mean, if it was, like, here and outside of town, I would see that, but, like, off the coast a little bit, I mean, how often do people probably, you know, from these areas do that themselves? I mean, probably, I don't know. I mean, I guess depending on the specific town, I guess. A fuck ton of alcohol. Well, the thing is, when I got this involved, I would not be touching the alcohol. Like, the only thing I would be touching is weed at that point. Like, that would literally be it, because, I mean, with my shotgun, I've been high with weed and shooting that, and I've been fine. So it's like, that would literally be the only thing I'd touch. Like, I mean, hell no, I wouldn't be touching alcohol with this. Fuck no. Like, I'm not gonna be irresponsible like that. Like, I will have the alcohol once I'm done. Like, I mean, like, and it also depends on the specific campground. Like, if we're going to settle on a place that doesn't really specifically, you know, like, you know, have it as a recommended thing, I want to bring them. But if it's a campground or an area that is more okay with it, I'll bring them along and be like, hey, who wants to go hike like half a mile wherever the fuck, set up a little spot and just go target shooting or whatever. I mean, depending on where we, you know, it's just like depending. I mean, because it's just one little extra activity for some people, at least, you know, to partake in. I mean, it's not everybody, and some people have to be at camp, you know, to man it anyway, to make sure it's all good, so obviously not everyone will have to go along. But it just depends on the area, too. Like, if it's an area that is not good for it, I'm not going to bring it. I'm not going to be like, alright, like, I'm just buying it anyway, fuck you. Just want to be involved. Well, you wouldn't be. Like, I mean, like I said, somebody would probably just man camp and I would just wander off, like, wherever the fuck, and just, you know, just kind of chill and, you know, just do my little thing and just come back and just put my stuff away. And by that point, probably I plinked all my rounds, so I probably would just store it away for the rest of the thing. Like, it'd basically just be more so just, like, you know, a part of the day and then just put away for the rest of the trip. Like, if anything, realistically, you probably wouldn't see it.
They go wild, simply wild over me. Though I've never done
On beach adventure trips, more of a mountain thing. Well, I know certain areas, because my roommate here earlier was talking about there are certain places that are kind of, you know, more, you know, like, specifically more safer for that type of stuff. But it just kind of, again, depends on which specific areas. Like, obviously, not every fucking part of the beach is going to be fine with that. Whether because of private property, or because it's too close to towns, or whatever the fuck. But some places are just, like, open stretch of just fucking nothing, so it just depends on where it is. But obviously, again, it also is accessibility. Like, there's variables. I'm not just going to be like, oh, yeah, the bay lounge, because fuck it. Shit, amount of spot. Yeah, and honestly, on Wednesday when I want to go out going again, that's the same spot we want to go to. Like, me and my dad settled, that's the spot we want to go to again, so... Like, the spot that we were at last time, like, at least for Wednesday, that's where we want to go. Base trip, well, obviously, at that point, it's settled. I mean, obviously, there's no if, alright, yeah, that's fine. It's settled, that's okay. Like other camping trips, sure, but obviously not for the beach one. Yeah, there we go. Oh my fucking Christ alive! What did I just... Okay. Obviously I know there's like a delay and shit, but... Remember, I just got the damn thing, so once I, like, break it in a little bit, like, a lot of the fucking, oh, I want to break it, like, I mean, a lot of that's gonna fucking fall away. So, it's like, once, like, the sparkleness of it, you know, goes away, it's like, whatever. Use a major navigator. Well, yeah. Obviously, I want them to. Why do you think I said, like, you know, when it comes to, you know, certain trips that we're planning, you know, when it comes to just, like, hey, you know, what, you know, like, what type of activities and shit that we want to do and stuff, I'm saying it's just one little thing that can be, you know, potential part of it. And again, obviously, nobody, you know, like, has to absolutely do it. Hell, I got to do it by myself, just wander off and, you know, like, you know, from the group, and just like, hey, if y'all want to, you know, chill for the camp for a little bit, I'm going to go hike this way a little bit. Be back in like an hour. You know, so it's just like... But again, it just depends on the camper trip, and it just depends on what we plan for that specific type of trip. Outside of that, you know, it's like, it's not going to be a thing of issue. Like, holy shit. Like, I'm not like some crazy homosexual fuck about it. Like, goddamn. Like, I know, you know, when it could be acceptable and when it isn't acceptable. Beach trips, not much acceptable, because the accessibility for that type of shit is really pretty fucking minimal, so... Obviously, not, you know, gonna be a thing that's gonna be, you know, the thing. But, like, mountain, you know, camping trips, you know, depending on where we decide to settle on a camping spot, sure. But that just depends on the spot. Obviously, if it's a little too close to people, then sure, not. Yeah, obviously. Not gonna be dumb about it. Oh my fucking god. Dude, at this rate, I think you're overthinking it, bro. Because I feel like I already explained it, and then it's like, but I know there's a YouTube delay, but like, holy shit. Like, bro. Like, I can only explain it like so many different times. July 25th looks the most promising. Then, hey, if that's the case, then I'll try to schedule those days off. Because it's like 3 weeks in advance, so, you know. At this rate, yeah, easy, yeah. If Tyler isn't down, there might be other days. Well, he is here, so. You know, he just happens to be here, so, you know. If the 25th works for him, then I think that date time frame is definitely something that can be settled. And honestly, it's like, you know, especially since it's so far out, like, even if it isn't maybe immediately, like, that could definitely be some time that could be requested off. So. Into the world and this is alright. Sunday 24th looks good also. That could definitely be something I can request off. Mostly having a few weekends off, like legit weekends, would actually be pretty nice.
As we come marching, marching in the beauty of the day, a million darkened kitchens, a thousand mil lost gray, are touched with all the radiance.
Sukaf,
At a sudden Sunday
what you doing, boy?
for the people hear us singing, bread and roses, bread and roses.
What are you doing?
As we come marching, marching, we battle to form.
I really need to get some sleep. Busy day tomorrow. Yes, King Mountain. King's Mountain. Is that like your little hiking trip you're gonna be doing for tomorrow? Request some time off for 25th and 26th, so I need to know the plan ahead of time. I have a gig in Longview, Washington on the 23rd of July. Well, it could probably be doable. Not tomorrow. Oh. Muffin those days. Yeah, like honestly, like if you have a gig on the 23rd, hypothetically we can, you know, all like kind of use the, maybe show up to the gig, use that as kind of like, you know, like kind of pre-game, like little like, you know, yeah, let's all fucking, you know, get ready, you know, for our shit. If anything, probably, you know, you know, like maybe for you, probably, you know, the day before you gig, kind of pack up and have it just kind of ready to set go. Because then, you know, once we all do, you know, because once you do that shit, we all like, you know, rest up and wake up, and then we can just fucking, you know, like go from there. Because if anything, you could probably just sit in, you know, the back or something like that and just take a nap. You already have the day off on 25th and 26th per the schedule sent me. Oh, well, if you already do, then, well, there you go. It's okay, look at you. We all go to your gig and then go to the coast afterwards. That's what I'm thinking. That'd be cool. I have to discuss logistics with the other members. Just gotta make sure their gear is safe. Of course, yeah. You obviously want to make sure of that type of shit too. I mean, since it's, you know, so early, you know, with the planning and shit, you know, as long as you try to, you know, like hit them up as soon as possible about it and just try to figure, you know, that type of shit out and kind of work out the logistics with that, then it should honestly, by the time it all, you know, comes around to those dates, should be pretty easy peasy type of thing. But King's Mountain would be fun sometime too. Yeah, I mean, honestly, we could probably do that, you know, like whenever we all just happen to have a day off, like Tuesday or some shit. Like if we all happen to have like a Tuesday off or something on the same week, we could all just do a day trip or something. You want to be a lapdog now? Come here, boy. I've been wanting you to be a lapdog for a minute. Oh, you're making so much noise. Look at you, you little punk. Oh. 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 You know that dude.
That's the Knights of the American Revolution.
Oh.
Sydney and Sammy, hope every colored boy becomes a star. Let them talk about the revolution that's going a little bit too far. cheered when Humphrey was chosen. My faith in the
Which is a
system
bye-bye.
restored.
Which is a sweet bye-bye.
Tommies were thrown out from the AFL
Yeah.
CIO
Me.
bar. And I love Puerto Ricans and Negroes as long as they don't move next door. So love me, love me, love me, I'm a liberal. All the people of old Mississippi should all hang
Sweet
their
BB.
heads in shame. Now I can't understand how their minds work. What's the matter, don't they watch less pray? But if you ask me to boss my children, I hope that
Just a
God
sweet
will
bye-bye.
sign your name.
Oh, just a sweet bye-bye.
Love me, love me, I'm a liberal.
Little chunk.
The republic and nation, I've learned.
Yeah, he just really wanted to be a lapdog. Wow.
You know, I've memorized Lerner and Golden. I feel like I'm
Olivia, it sounds like some hydraulic press or something. Like, psst,
times like Korea.
psst.
There's no
She just does that.
woman
It's like, what the
that
fuck?
blues. So love me, love me, love me. I'm
Goofy
a
bye
liberal.
bye. Why do you love this? Most animals hate this.
The Democratic Party, they want the UN to be strong.
Same out for what?
And all the
Yeah.
eager
Oh.
governments,
And you just want to just be snuggled and cuddled, don't you?
and I'll send all the money you ask for.
You just want to loving and a cuddling.
Ask me to come along.
Aw, you sweet bye bye.
Love me, love me,
Oh, there you go.
I'm a liberal.
But yeah, I had a pretty fun long one. So actually almost 4 hours going.
I wore every conceivable
Do I want to stretch it to the 4 hour mark or the 3 hour 15-minute mark, which is like 30 seconds? Oh, Zukov, you're really making my decision easy with your fucking incessant harassment here. Look at you. You're fucking absurd. I already have a bowl loaded, so... You know what, I think that 350 mark is actually looking a little more promising. Besides, I have a bunch of tendies that I kind of want to smack the fuck out right now. I've been eyeballing those a little bit. What, you feel offended that I kind of smacked you away now? Little bitch. That's right. That's right, boy. That's what you get. But anyway, all good for a fun wrestle, little even at the very least. But till then, of course, peace out, and shall be back around.